I hear about traffic around town, and the get around, it's a little bit better. 25 degrees, almost balmy tomorrow. Going to get up to about 28, and then on Saturday into the 30s and Sundays into the 40s. And next week it'll be like it never happened, unless you have pipes burst, and then that's when the plumber will come out and you realize it really did happen. We hope everybody is safe. We'll get all the pipes fixed, and we'll get back to our normal routine sooner rather than later. But it has been one for the record books. This is one of the all-timers. I mean, all-timers. And Dave Woloshin, he's from his Family Leisure Studios again on Cherry Road today. And Dave, how you making it?
Doing great. I'm actually looking out my window and seeing icicles melting. There's nothing better than watching icicles melt. It's been a crazy busy day. You're right. 25 degrees seems like we're almost in Miami Beach compared to what we've gone through. And heck, by next Tuesday or Wednesday, some models have us in the 60s. We'll be thinking about playing golf. So how about
tornado warnings next week when the cold and the warm collide? Get ready for that.
The world never ends, whether there's a pandemic or whether there's blizzards. Doesn't matter. Things go on. So a couple of things have occurred today. One, the Tigers football schedule has come out. By the way, at some point later in the program, I compiled the best matchups that the American Athletic Conference has with other conferences in those first 4 weeks or so. And there's 16 good ones, really. I'm happy with that. Only 5 of them are at home field, but nonetheless, at least the American is getting some Power 5 games, and that's critical to their growth. There's no doubt about it. The second thing that happened today, Brett, is John Rothstein early this morning tweeted out that the NIT is going to happen. It's going to be like the old-time NIT, where all the games will be in New York City, and there are only 16 teams that will be invited. And if
That's
you
beautiful.
look at the rankings, the net rankings, and I'm assuming because the NCAA controls that Memphis, if they did not make the NCAA, that they would be in line to make the NIT. So it looks like for the first time there is some postseason that could be happening for Penny's Tigers. And they need good news considering this pause and all that's going on so far in the last couple of weeks.
Now, it's no big deal. I saw it at John Feinstein's site. You said John Rothstein?
Yeah, I thought it was John Rothstein. I'll double check. I don't.
It doesn't matter. But both are so good and so very credible. No, it doesn't matter. And that is a throwback to days of yore when everybody would go to New York and it was 16 teams, and when you lost, you went home, and if you won, you kept advancing, and you played at Madison Square Garden, and that would be a fun throwback style tournament. But going to New York, I mean, how safe is that?
Well, that's a darn good question. I really don't. I don't know the answer to that one. But you know, if they can do it, I'm imagining it's the same organization that's putting the bubble together in Indy. I don't think you'll be allowed to quarantine as long, because the way I saw it on the NIT website, we know Selection Sunday is the 14th. They want folks in New York on the 16th. I'm not sure what the schedule for games would be, but I imagine it'll be somewhat of a bubble setup. I really don't know. Maybe we need to do a little bit more homework on all of that, because I'm really not totally certain of that. I just know it is 16 teams, single elimination. And I really didn't think there would be any NIT. I thought the NCAA would gear everything toward the tournament they're going to have in Indy, and that's the important one, and that's the one that really brings in the money. And that, the CBI, the CIT, all those others, they're totally separate entities, and they're frankly money grabs for some sports promoters. But the NIT,
and nobody really cares about the NIT either.
I don't think they do, but it unless you're one of those 16 teams, or used to be 32 teams. And it's especially good for teams that are on the rise that just miss it. that really think next year is going to be their year. At least they get a taste of it. So I think there's a place for it. I'm not sure about the CIT and the CBI, but I can remember the first time that Memphis went under John Calipari, and that was the first postseason they experienced with him at all. And that first time, it meant something. So I'll never forget when they won it.
To Memphis. Yeah, it meant to one of the participants. But
it doesn't mean if you're looking at it from the viewpoint of a national spotlight, no. There's only one tournament.
It's the Bahamas Bowl.
But if you're a team participating, especially one that hasn't gone to any postseason, there's a place for that.
I tell you what would be fun come late March in New York. How about a Memphis Ole Miss finals in the NIT?
I think if you could sign up Penny and Kermit Davis right now on that, they'd say, sure, let's do it.
We might be ground zero for interest in that. I don't think it'd be much outside of about 150 miles from here, but there was a time that the NIT really mattered, and if the Tigers got there, it would be fun. Look, it was fun 2 years ago in getting the home game against San Diego in the win, and then went to Creighton and got blasted by a mighty fine team. But look what that did for Creighton. That was Creighton's marker. That was Creighton's planting their flag for what they accomplished last year and into this year.
Well, that's the perfect example of the place of the NIT. It's certainly not the NCAA, but if you're an up-and-coming program, you start to build from there. And I think DeJuan Wagner's John Calipari Tigers did the same sort of thing. And so, I obviously I want Memphis to get into the NCAA, but the fact that they could still have a place beyond that, and I got to tell you, it's exciting to think about going to New York City. I'm sure most of these kids, because now they all played in the national AAU circuit, it doesn't quite mean as much to them. I'm trying to remember. It might have been, a conversation that I had with Precious Achua early in the season last year, and I said something to him about either nationally televised or going to a great place, and he said, "Yeah, no offense, but I did that when I was 13 when I went there for the first time, or I played in this stadium for the first time when I was 13. So they're well beyond their years on that national scope at this level. But when you haven't been anywhere in a while, it would be nice. It
Dave,
really
if you go to New York City and I hear about you on the New York City subway and I hear about you in Penn Station, I don't want to hear again from you that you can't eat inside in a restaurant.
I'll have my shots by then, my friend. I hope I'll at least have one shot. I'll have at least one vaccine.
80% effective rate with just the first one. Did you realize that?
I knew it was high. I did not know the
94 after you get the second one.
Yeah, that's terrific. I hope that
I'll take 80 and 94% every time, won't you? I've done a lot. I've done a lot of things with a lot worse odds than that. I can assure you, Dave Woloshin. Sure. We will talk a lot of college basketball today at 3:30. Shelby Mass, the official bracketologist for USA Today, he will join us from frozen tundra Dallas at 4:00. Keith Smith from Yahoo Sports, he joins us from the very balmy Orlando, and it really is balmy. And I'm not talking 25 and 30 degree balmy. It's the real kind of balmy in Orlando. We visit with Keith Smith from Yahoo Sports about the NBA at 4:30. The head coach of the Tigers off that very successful bowl-winning season, and the schedule is out. Coach Ryan Silverfield will join us at 5:00. Greg Aston will get his 2 cents. I heard him today on middays on the schedule release, but we'll talk a lot of Tigers with him. Grizzlies, Tiger, college basketball talk all mixed in there. And we wrap up the day at 5:45 with Taco Bell Crunch Time. So that first perusal that you did of the AAC opponents, does it justify what I said last week about the Tigers, or maybe earlier this week? The Tigers are no doubt scheduling more SEC than anyone else. That may not be tougher, but it's more SEC. And Dave, my one word for this schedule that was released today: brutal.
Really, I don't know that I view it as brutal. I know Nicholls State. Everybody's going to think, well, they're not a whole lot, but they've made the FCA playoffs in each of the past 3 years.
They have ball players.
And they're going to be playing 7 games like they're supposed to start here in a few weeks, right? They're supposed to play their spring season, play 7 games. I think that is still happening. And then you got to play at Arkansas State. Well, we know last year it was 37-24. It wasn't as if the Tigers just destroyed them, and that was in the Liberty Bowl. So you're right. That's a good test. And then you've got Mississippi State. You know, I had forgotten, but Memphis has played Mississippi State a lot of times.
Oh, yeah.
And they played 45 times. The last time the Tigers beat them was 1993. Last time they played was 2011, so that's a long time ago. But I'm really looking forward to that. And then you're going to end with UTSA, Texas San Antonio. Memphis was supposed to go there last year. I'm sure that'll be returned probably the year after. I'm trying to remember. I know they scheduled it.
That is a tough September.
You're right. Then you're really into, you got to go to Philly and to Tulsa. And we know how good they were. Then you've got either a Thursday or a Saturday against Navy, and that's always fun. I am imagining Navy will be better than they were this past year.
We know the offense they'll run. It's not going to be 5 wide.
Nope. And then you've got a standalone game on a Friday night in Orlando against UCF, and then you got a bye, which probably comes in handy. And then you're home for a couple of games with SMU and what I imagine will be an improved ECU. Then you go to Houston, and you're going to end it with Tulane. And Tulane actually has their very first week. Oklahoma comes to them.
Yes.
That was impressive.
And then Tulane comes to Oxford September 18th. So I think Tulane and Memphis playing really tough schedules. Dave, I think that schedule, okay, maybe not brutal, but very, very, very tough with back-to-back opening conference play in Philly and in Tulsa. We know how wild both of those places have been in just 2 years ago when the Tigers, they didn't go back-to-back weeks to them, but we know what happened at Temple, and we know what happened at Tulsa. Their poor kicker, he's still in counseling over it. And then you get the triple option team, and then you get if the Tigers aren't, the Central Florida Knights are the kind of the bell cow of this league, and Sonny Dykes' club, as you went over, I think it is really tough, and that's good. You want it to be tough because that means that conference has gotten tougher. It's tough standalone from September and non-conference play.
It is a good football league. It's obviously a better football league than it is a basketball league. But
it just is.
That being said.
Now.
That being said, if they did add Boise and BYU, could you imagine how good that would be? And then another team, there's 2 other possibilities besides the Arkansas States or the UABs of this world that I think have been talked about, and they're out west, which would make that Western Division a little bit more geographical compatible. Maybe not for Memphis if they were in that
what team?
On that side of it. But you're talking about either San Diego State or Colorado State.
Either one would be great.
But San Diego State would really be outstanding. I mean, it's a challenge geographically, but those are really good programs, both football and basketball. And who doesn't want to go to San Diego? So you think you'd be adding Salt Lake City, you'd be adding Boise, which is a resort place, and you'd be adding San Diego to already the metropolitan areas that you have, with Tampa and Orlando and Cincinnati and Dallas and Houston. It's an interesting league to ponder. And remember, it was the commissioner himself who said 14. He just offered that number. So that's intriguing.
He sure did offer that number, and it was reminiscent of me when there was a summer of zero expansion. Zero. I mean, it was the Jack Buck line. Nothing shaking but the leaves on the trees on the expansion, realignment front. And George Lapidus asked Mike Slive on the air, just as a throwaway at the end of the conversation, what about expanding from 12 to 16 teams? And Mike Slive winked at George and says, why 16 and expanding 4 so sacrosanct? Why not just 2? And a year and a half later, it was 2. Just 2 instead of 4.
Yeah. Well, this time the commissioner said 14. You and I were thinking 1. We weren't thinking 14. Or, I certainly wasn't thinking 3 would
I
be
wasn't.
added.
No, I wasn't.
he threw that out there, and that was pretty telling to me. Now we'll have to wait and see what those teams might be. And he did make it pretty clear it would not happen this particular fall. Nothing's really going to happen, I got a feeling, for a while.
But we can talk about it this summer, though, Dave. If nothing else, if there's nothing else on realignment and conference expansion, we can make it up on Sports Talk Radio.
Oh, well, there's no question about that. I'm just saying to you, he brought up that nothing would happen this year, and that's because we got to get back to where we can have fans and count our money and see where we stand financially before stuff really happens. And I think that's true of the television partners, too, because let's just say you're adding those 3 markets, and we're throwing this out there as speculation, folks, but let's just say it's San Diego, Boise, and where BYU is, which is basically the suburb of Salt Lake City. You're adding those 3 teams and those 3 TV markets. You're redoing your television contract to a certain extent because you're adding product. And that the ESPN's got to figure out where they are. Now, I think they're a little healthier since they came up with the ESPN Plus concept with these new things, because I think they are adding a bunch of people that are paying $6 a month. So they didn't get everything back when they had to lay people off from all of the cable company subscriptions they used to get, because they were down as people started to do their own bundles or to stream on their own and not use cable systems. They had to figure out a way to get that revenue or a part of that revenue stream back. ESPN Plus is the answer, and I think it's doing okay.
I think so, too. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis, the one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis. They're at 2600 Ridgeway, and they're online at lexusofmemphis.com. You want a big SUV that'll plow through this snow well? That's where you can get one at Lexus of Memphis, 901-362-8833. They are offering the Golden Opportunity late February sales event ready for spring. If you've ever thought I'd look great in a Lexus, well, come springtime, you know you will. And Lexus of Memphis will make sure you're in a beautiful car of theirs. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis. They're open at 2600 Ridgeway, and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2021 flagship LS500. You'll be looking and driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design that makes for the luxury driving experience. 901-362-8833. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, I'm going to say that the Grizzlies righted their ship. That will be my top story of the day. A 122-113 win over Oklahoma City. You were talking about the rivalry that we thought we had with Oklahoma City in the past. That ain't the Oklahoma City that Grit and Grind used
not
to play.
Even close.
Not even.
Kevin Durant's not. Nick Collison's not walking through that door.
No.
Who were those guys, Dave?
But the Grizzlies regrouped. Give them credit. They're back to 500. They had 31 assists. They don't lose when they have 30 assists. He had a triple-double, only the third in the career of Ja Morant, but that's nice. He got a triple-double. Valanciunas returned to form. He had a double-double. He looked like a force. They won the fourth quarter. How about that? And we learned right before the game that Jaren Jackson Jr. and even Justice Winslow have begun very soft practices. So they're starting to participate a little bit. Maybe for the second half, you'll see a full team, and we'll get a glimpse of what this team actually might look like down the road.
Well, we've landed a rover on Mars, so maybe we can finally get Justice Winslow and Jaren Jackson back into the Grizzlies lineup. Drew, do me a quick Google search and see what the temperature on Mars is right now, because I think we've probably been lower a little this week on Mars. My top story, Grizzlies back to 500. I'm with you, Dave, at 12 up, 12 down, and thank goodness they were playing Oklahoma City. Maybe the only team in the whole league last night the Grizzlies could have dispatched that easily with Oklahoma City's travel troubles. And as I was told, as empty a FedEx Forum as you will ever see. That with everybody under that roof, there hardly was a soul there that was not paid to be there. It was nobody allowed last night. It was out of safety. And look what they missed. They missed an Oklahoma City lineup of Baisley, Dort, Roby, not Rick Roby either, Maladon, the Frenchman, and Gilgis Alexander, the only named player. Gilgis Alexander.
Good player. I like watching.
I don't think he needs to be. I don't think he needs to be working on his Hall of Fame speech anytime soon. That was as big a bunch of collective nobodies, maybe ever assembled by a pro team. Grizzlies got the win, 12-12, day off, then two back-to-back Friday back, and then Saturday against Detroit and Phoenix.
Not top story of the day.
Well, that actually is the numbers that are pretty good in Shelby County, and it could very well be. We're not getting a lot of testing because of the weather, but only 38 new cases of COVID in Shelby County in the last 24 hours. That is the lowest since February the 18th. There were 2 fatalities. We are down to 2,100 active cases, 613 tests, so they are down, but there were some at 7.4%. Vaccines return next week, and Dr. Minaj Jain, who's been on this program before, said, if you're delayed on your second dose, don't worry. You're good up to 6 weeks. 6 weeks. So they'll have everything righted for that second dose. If you were scheduled to have it, say, 3 or 4, and you're delayed a couple of weeks, or even 3 weeks if you're on the 3-week plan, you're in good shape.
WMC first to report this, and this is very important for everyone. MLGW spokesperson just confirmed they'll be issuing a boil water advisory shortly, so people stay very alert to that and aware of that.
Wow.
We've been lucky we've gotten this far. My not top story, you go through the NCAA net rankings, and Shelby Mass mentioned it last week. Colgate, they're locked in at 10 on the net. They're the Raiders, if you didn't know that. They play in the Patriot League, if you didn't know that. They're 9-1, if you didn't know that. And here's their wins. They've beat Army 3 times. They beat Holy Cross twice. Holy Cross won it all in 1947, so don't discount that. They beat Boston University twice. Next time out will be Saturday against Boston University again. There's no way their seed will parallel to their net. Their net is 10. Their seed will be about a 14.
We need an analytical genius to tell us how, I understand they've only lost 1 time, but with the wins that they've had, how can they get to number 10 on the net? How in the world does that occur?
Average temperature on Mars today is 81 below? Well, we didn't get near that. Well, you want to catch me going to Mars?
Did you approximate that, my friend?
All right, let's have a pool, me and you and Drew. We all put in $1. Next time it snows more than an inch in Memphis. Next time it snows more than an inch in Memphis. Think about it during the break, Dave, okay?
Okay, I got to give you a date?
Yes, I could, and we will have a $1 in the pot next time it snows in Memphis, because all this snow is out of here. Thank goodness it's out of here. I hope I never see another flake the rest of my life. The Redbird schedule's out today. There's some interesting notes about it. Tiger schedule's out today. We will talk a lot about that in about an hour with the head coach of the Memphis Tigers, bowl champion, Coach Ryan Silverfield. But coming up next from USA Today, the official bracketologist for USA Today from BracketWag.com, our friend Shelby Mass. He's next on Sportstime.
Same great shows.
We welcome you back to Sports 56 Middays.
What's up? It's Sports 56 Happy Hour.
A new spot on the FM dial. Check out Sports 56 on our new FM home at 98.5.
The President's Day event is in full swing at Gossett Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat on the Pike. And we're celebrating with 2020 Dodge Journey SE $19,990 or $249 a month. Or pump up your attitude with the 2021 Jeep Cherokee Latitude $21,740 or $277 a month. Or take your pick, 2020 Ram 1500 Quad Cab Tradesman or 2021 Dodge Challenger XST $339 a month. It's your choice, Ram 1500 or Challenger. We Gossett at $339 a month. So drive past the rest and come to the best. Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat 1901 Covington Piper. Shop online, GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Almost finance through Chrysler, all 3,500 cash down, 75 months at 4.19 APR. Journey LT 296,053, MSRP 26,860. Latitude MD 168,760, MSRP 27,805. 1500 LS 156,730, MSRP 35,185. Challenger MH 581,58, MSRP 31,160. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695. Excludes tax on a license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 3/1/21. Dealer stock only.
The thing about the Name Your Price tool from Progressive is that by now you've heard a lot of ads about the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. We probably don't even need the words, the Name Your Price tool, to tell you that our Humpback Whale Pup gives you options based on your budget, or that our novelty hand buzzer helps you save on car insurance. And that's the thing about the tiny felt bag filled with marbles. At this point, you've heard a lot of ads about the elusive northern bobcat. The Name Your Price tool, the neighbor who baked you banana bread, only from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Memphis, it's official. Crab Kings is where it's at. The best seafood with 7 flavors to choose from. Try the shrimp and chicken pasta. Now available is the salmon and fried lobster pasta. Snow crab, king crab, dungeons and more. Fish platter, $9.99. Lobster tail, $10.99. Jumbo wings, 99 cents each. Download the app or search Crab Kings on Google. Visit us at crabkingstn.com. Crab Kings Seafood and Pasta, Memphis favorites. Memphis, it's official. Crab Kings is where it's at. The best seafood with 7 flavors to choose from. Try the shrimp and chicken pasta. Now available is the salmon and fried lobster pasta. Snow crab, king crab, dungeons and more. Fish platter, $9.99. Lobster tail, $10.99. Jumbo wings, 99 cents each. Download the app or search Crab Kings on Google. Visit us at crabkingstn.com. Crab Kings Seafood and Pasta, Memphis favorites.
Looking for a great place to deposit your money? Try First Bank. Competitive CD rates, a money market that moves with Wall Street prime and interest-bearing checking account options. Not to mention their friendly bankers who make decisions locally. To find out more, stop by one of First Bank's 3 local branches. 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper. 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase. And 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or visit firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stacks. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Dave, the countdown clock is on at bracketwag.com. About 24 days and an hour or so until Selection Sunday.
I looked at Shelby and the website today and looked at the breakdown. He's got 6 SEC teams in. Can't wait to chat with him about that. I'm sitting, as you like to say, I am sitting in the Family Leisure Studio East. You're in the Family Leisure Studios way out there in Forest City. We got one in the middle at Flynn Broadcasting Center. That's where Drew is. But on Sunday, when we started to melt, you may want to go see the good folks at I-40 and Whidden Road, where family and fun come together. The factory direct pool and patio sale is going on. They do have the new inventory. The 2021 stuff is in. Pool season, believe it or not, with 60 degrees next week. You better start to prepare. Get ready now. Beat the rush. They've got spas in stock. They'll be ready for installation soon as we thaw out. And your backyard will be complete if you take a look at their new patio furniture and get some of the state-of-the-art stuff they've got now. I mean, it's gorgeous. They have special financing available. Go check out our friends at Family Leisure.
Shelby Mass joins us. He was with us last week. Will be with us through one shining moment. And last week, I didn't get a chance to let Shelby let people know what exactly WAG stood for. He is the official bracketologist for USA Today. Gannett, College Insider, and he is on Twitter at bracketwag.com. His site is, or he's on Twitter at bracketwag, and his site is bracketwag.com. Shelby, I'm sorry, I always do the first time you join us every year. Tell our listeners exactly what WAG stands for.
Wild ass yes.
And you're honest about it. And you're honest about it, Shelby, and you win the prize, Shelby. You win the local prize. Now, tell me, you weren't playing for the local crowd because you've been on with us for years and years and years now. I think we might have been your first radio show to join after you became the official bracketologist, but you've been with us for years. No other bracketologist. You've got your last 4 in. You got your first 4 out, and you have the Memphis Tigers at the next 4 out. So right now they'd be like 72nd. In the Ole Miss would be 70th, I think, or so. You've got Ole Miss third of the first 4 out, and you've got Memphis as the last next 4 out. But at least you've got them there. You win the prize, Shelby.
Yeah, they're still being mentioned, and there's still hope, though it is fading, but it's better than nothing.
Shelby, when you say there is still hope, and I agree with you, what in your mind would it take for Memphis to move up? I know they're probably going to need some help, but would it take 1 or 2 wins over Houston? Would the Wichita State win on the road if they indeed make that game up? Would that go a long way at all?
Yeah, Wichita State would be good. Houston would be better, obviously. You get 2 wins over Houston, it's going to be tough to keep them out. But if those 3 games, if they can go 2-1 somehow, it would be tough to keep them out then.
Not only what Memphis has to do, we know if you win, it really bolsters your argument, and it's a way to kick the door down in on Selection Sunday. But you also have to keep an eye on the out of town scoreboard, like Minnesota, Utah State, Seton Hall, St. Louis, UConn, Stanford, Ole Miss, St. John's. Tiger fans need to be pulling against all Maryland, which Shelby, I don't want to get into it with you, but I don't see the fascination with Maryland, and I honestly don't see it out of Minnesota that lost last night to Indiana.
Yeah, I don't like those teams. It's not as far as a fan goes, but bracketologist. I don't care for them, but I can see where the committee might put them in. Minnesota over Maryland because they've got more quad 1 wins, but I cannot rule them out and be doing my job.
Were you, when you put St. Louis as the last 4 in, and I've seen that at a bunch of different places too, are you being kind to them because they were paused for quite a bit of time, and when they came back, they did not look like the same team. They are starting to look like the team they were earlier. Does that play into your consideration, and do you think the committee is going to think that same thing?
It doesn't seem like they're going to. The big reveal that they had the other day on Saturday, they made a point of saying they're looking at the games played and how they did. If you took a pause, doesn't hurt you, doesn't help you, but they're only looking at the games played and how you did in those. So I was kind of, give them a little leeway because of the pause. And plus, I didn't want to put as much stock as I normally do into home games and road games. But the committee they said they're going to do it just the same way, where home and road do matter, and if the COVID pause does not matter.
And of that collection of teams, Minnesota, they took an L last night to Indiana. They're next out home against Illinois, Utah State. They took a loss last night to Boise. They play Boise again on Friday night, Seton Hall. They had a win over DePaul. Saturday, they're at Georgetown. And St. Louis U, 32 in the net. But Friday night, they're at Dayton. So people will be keeping an eye on that one. Shelby, at the top of your bracket, you have Ohio State as a 1, Michigan as a 1, Baylor and Gonzaga as a 1. Baylor and Gonzaga seem about as big a locks as anything. For Michigan, Ohio State, which one of those two shakiest going into this weekend?
I would lean towards Michigan because of lack of games played. Ohio State has played more games, won more games, and won more quad 1 games, which the committee didn't put stock in that, but I think going down the road, they have the bigger wins, and luckily they do play each other. I think Michigan would fall if they lose. Ohio State might not.
As you were picking, and I see the breakdown: 9 in the Big Ten, 7 in the Big 12, 6 in the ACC and the SEC. The Big East gets 4. The MWC gets 4. The Pac-12 gets 4. I'm impressed with the Mountain West getting that many. And then even the Missouri Valley Conference and the West Coast Conference are each getting 2. For Ole Miss to get in, what have they got to accomplish? Because they're close. And when you look at what they're doing, does that necessarily mean one of the 6 SEC teams that you have in has to fall out? In other words, would Ole Miss basically replace somebody from their own conference?
Not necessarily. They would replace a Utah State or somebody like that in the first 4 or the final 4 in. They'll replace whoever. That doesn't mean 6 SEC and that number is set. It could end up being 4. It could be 7. It's just up in the air right now, but that's where I see it right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the SEC could get 7, but maybe so. But Ole Miss, they got to play. That really hurt them last night, missing that game against LSU. Maybe it'll get made up. The SEC flexed in a weekend of makeup games, but that's makeup 1, maybe not making up 2. Shelby, I love how you lay out your bracket and some really intriguing potential second round matchups. You could have in a second round an old Southwest Conference matchup of Arkansas and Houston. I think Houston's a really good team, but they need to play, and they've got a big game tonight.
Yeah, they do. Houston, they've had too many games off for me to be confident they're going to hold that 2 line. One slip up, and they fall to at least 3, maybe 4. Depends on who they lose to. That's what's good. I think the teams that have had longer layoffs and more layoffs are going to be hurt the most when it comes to the bracket and to seeding.
As you look this over, I love some of your initial matchups for sure. Like Missouri and Western Kentucky. That's a 5-12. Usually 5-12s are outstanding. Wisconsin and St. Louis or Seton Hall could be another one of those. But tell me about Western Kentucky, because that is a ball club that we saw a little bit earlier, and you've got them as a 12 seed. I think their net is pretty darn good too. Is that a team that could make a run?
I think it is. They have played a pretty tough schedule for somebody of their caliber. They have a win over Alabama. Most years that's okay. This year, that's a really good win. That's a 2 seed. They got a win over Memphis. Memphis still hanging in there. But Louisiana Tech and Charlotte, that's 2 losses. Western Kentucky always seems to do this. They take 2 to 3 losses to teams they shouldn't lose to. And ultimately it ends up hurting them. This year, I think they have a shot at an at-large. I said last week the UAB might also. I don't think so now. The UAB has got to win the tournament, and if they can beat Western Kentucky in the tournament, that Conference USA has a chance for 2 teams.
Do you think Michigan State is considered by you on life support?
Yeah, it's going to be tough for them to get in the serious bubble discussion.
Really will be, and the Big Ten's going to win the volume game, and I think it's the best conference out there. But I don't know if a champion exists among it. I don't know if there's more than one Final Four team. I don't see how they miss out on at least one getting there, and maybe springing the upset, down bracket for somebody, maybe against Baylor. I don't know. Gonzaga, they look pretty rugged, but I don't know that there's a champion among the Big Ten teams.
Yeah, I think that I agree with you. They don't have a team that Michigan and Ohio State are the best 2. had the best chance, but I wouldn't feel confident picking them. That's why I don't know if the Big Ten is the best conference. The Big 12 has Baylor and Texas Tech, possibly in Texas and Oklahoma. They're all playing good. I can see them making a run. But Big Ten, I don't see it. It's good for them. They get the most.
So because of the top-heavy nature of the Big 12, you think that this year is the best league?
It's a toss-up for me. I'm one of those. I don't get into that discussion too much. But if I had to pick one, I would probably pick the Big 12.
The ACC, even though with 6, considering usually their top gun Duke is not going to make the tournament, is this the weakest ACC maybe you've seen since you started doing the brackets?
It's either this year or last year, and last year we don't know. We didn't do a bracket or anything like that. But I would have to say yes. We've got ACC with 1, maybe 2 Final Four contenders, and I'm not sold on them. Virginia and Florida State, and that's about it. So everybody else, they're going to get some teams in, but just because they have so many teams to pick from.
Shelby, today at the NCAA tournament, or at the NCAA website, they had a list of the most frequently played March Madness games, and there's a 5-way tie for first. 6 different times these teams have met each other. North Carolina and Villanova, that one could happen this year. North Carolina and Arkansas at 6, that could happen. Here's one that won't happen barring a massive upset. Really 2 different ways, Kentucky and Utah. Duke and Kansas have played 6 different times. That's not going to happen. Duke and Michigan State have played 6 different times. That won't happen. Kansas, North Carolina have played 5 times. That could. And then several at 4. There are going to be some big-time CBS ratings draw matchups that won't happen this year.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting tournament because we're going to see teams that we wouldn't normally see. By my count, we've got about 5 teams that normally make it. They're there year in, year out, Duke, Kentucky, and so on, Michigan State, Syracuse, and Arizona. So you got 5 teams that aren't going to make it, which means 5 more teams are, and I got to believe the mid-majors are going to make up the bulk of those.
Well, since you bring that up, is a team like Loyola, is that a team that you consider one that could, let's say, get to the Sweet 16?
Yeah, I think so. It would be better for them. I've got them in an 8-9 game. They want to get out of that, whether it be go lower or go higher. But in an 8-9 game, you're looking at probably Baylor or Gonzaga second round. Hopefully for them, Ohio State or Michigan, I think they have a better shot against them. But as long as they don't play Baylor or Gonzaga, they get a chance to make a run.
Shelby, you stay safe. Do you have heat? Have you been without utilities?
Only Monday night. We're good with water, and we're good with heat, and we're good with lots of food.
Have you ever seen weather like this before, where you are?
Do what now?
Have you ever seen this kind of weather at this extreme where you live? You're in Dallas, correct?
I've moved. I'm west of Dallas about 3 hours now. I have seen this once for one night, never for an extended period.
Wow.
Same here.
You stay
Same
warm,
here. This is
safe.
This is the all-timer. Shelby, you do that, and we will watch your site all weekend, and we will visit with you again next Thursday. Enjoy the game, Shelby.
Thanks, you too.
We appreciate it. That is Shelby Mass, bracketologist for USA Today. He's brought to you in part by Brian Elder Roofing Solutions. They may be really busy when everything starts to melt. If you weren't sure if you had a leak, when this thing starts to melt, if you've had one, you are going to know it. Call these guys. They are the very best. It's Brian Elder, who's been part of this company, started it years ago. Chris Price. Yes, call me Chris. Chris Price is a part of this now, too. You can call either of them at their famous number, 867-0303. That's 867-0303. They will come out and take a look. Now, they like to say they can measure your roof from outer space, and they can, but in this particular case, they need to come out. And if you've really got some issues, let them contact your insurance company. They're the best at getting settlements from them, and then they'll take care of the rest. They only use the best products on the market, and they give their customers the very best warranty going around. It's called the No Questions Asked warranty. They stand by all their work. It sets them apart from everybody else. When we thaw out, you'll know if you've got issues. If you do, call my guys at Elder Solutions. That's 901-867-0303. Brian Elder Roofing Solutions. Back in just a minute, we'll put a wrap on this very first hour of Sports Time on Sports 56.
You have opinions?
I think they got a lot of athletic ability.
We want to hear them.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you.
Call us on the First Bank phone line at 360-8255 or text us on the First Bank text line at 67129.
It may be cold outside, but your deals keep getting hotter and hotter, Jeff. Hey, let's conquer the cold and gear up for winter with the Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah President's Day sales event.
We got you covered, Randy. Let's talk. 2021 Kia Forte, $133 a month lease. 2021 Kia Soul, redesigned inside and out, $149 a month lease. And a 2021 Kia K5, $182 a month lease. All just 36 months, $3149 due at signing.
That's what I'm talking about, Jeff. Plus, every Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah comes with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah, 2680 Mount Moriah, or KiaMountMoriah.com.
All 36-month leases, $3149 due at signing, 0 security deposit, 10,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage, $650 acquisition fee, Forte, ME3 19038, MSRP $20,625, Soul, M7755,638, MSRP $20,660, K5, MG 005560, MSRP $25,725, include all manufacturer rebates and incentives, PF $695, excludes tax filing license, with approved credit, see dealer for complete details, offer valid through 3/1/21, dealer stock only.
Make your next grill your last with Big Green Egg. Smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Ceramic will not rust, but will provide the best radiant heat, keeping your food crisp on the outside and juicy on the inside. Step your flavor up with 100% natural lumpwood charcoal. Never have to add charcoal or wood during a cook again, and save money by reusing Big Green Egg lumpwood charcoal. Enjoy the versatility of keeping cook temperatures below 200 or above 700 for searing and anywhere in between with ease. The Big Green Egg is ready to cook in only 10 to 15 minutes. Just ask Big Green Egg users how great the food is. Satisfaction has been our recipe for success since 1974, and our customers are our biggest testament. Come taste the difference with Big Green Egg and make your next grill your last. Available at East Memphis Ace at the corner of South White Station Road and Quince Road.
Mike, room 4 is ready to go. Like now.
Indeed knows unexpected growth can stretch your business thin.
Kelly, room 2 needs to be
like at Dr. Moore's dermatology practice. To keep pace with new patients, he needs to get started hiring right away.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. And the moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first sponsored job post. Terms and conditions apply.
You ever lie awake at night, can't sleep, not wanting to see what time it is because that's just going to keep you up? Tonight, try ZzzQuil Pure Z's all night. Unlike other sleep aids, our extended-release melatonin helps you fall asleep naturally and then slowly releases so you stay asleep longer through the night. It's non-habit-forming with no next-day grogginess. ZzzQuil Pure Z's all night, so you can fall asleep and stay asleep. Available at retailers near you.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Wolochin and Brett Norsworthy.
Memphis Tigers football schedule out, and we talk about it with the head coach of the Tigers, Ryan Silverfield, at about 4:30, so stay tuned for that. We'll visit with Keith Smith from Yahoo Sports at the top of the next hour. Dave, also out today, the Memphis Redbirds schedule of 142 games out, and it's a lot of new with this schedule, new opponents, new dynamic in minor league baseball. Columbus, Durham, Gwinnett, Indianapolis, Jacksonville, Louisville, Nashville, Norfolk, and Toledo will make up the opponents for the Redbirds. Not a single Monday night game on this schedule, as everything's 6 gamers. 6 on the road, 6 at home. 6 on the road, 6 at home.
I thought it was interesting, too. I can't wait to see the Durham Bulls. They don't play in that same historic stadium. They moved to a new ballpark in Durham, didn't they?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
I thought that they did, because that might be fun just to go see the ballpark that they used in that Kevin Costner movie. That might have been a bit of fun to do. Yeah, no, I saw it. I can't wait to see some of these new teams. And you're right. It is pretty uniform. I think they're really trying to get as organized as they can. I didn't. Is it still 144 game schedule?
142, I think. And even the PCL had dropped down to 140 from the 144 mark that we used to traditionally know. They had dropped down to 140. But opening night, Tuesday night, April 6th against Indianapolis, that's the only time Indianapolis will be at AutoZone Park all year. I hope we have opening night, April 6th, and I hope we have baseball all summer at AutoZone Park.
Yeah, so you're talking basically about 6 weeks away, right? That's where we're looking, and maybe 7. But it's right around the corner. I sure hope you're right. I hope we do have it. One other bit of news that broke today, and that was the trading of Carson Wentz to Indy. Now, here's a guy, and I know he didn't take the Philadelphia Eagles to the Super Bowl. That went to Nick Foles. But he started that season until he got hurt, and he was really, really, really good. So he was the number 2 overall pick in 2016. We're about to have the 21 draft. So he played 4 years in essence. And the Eagles got in return for the number 2 overall pick in 2000, a 2021 this year, 3rd round pick, and a conditional 2nd round pick the following year. And that conditional is not, really good for Indy, for Philly. It's good for Indy. I mean, they got nothing for him. They just gave up on him.
They gave up on him, and Frank Reich is betting on him. They'll be back together again, and that's who got the best football out of him in Philly and got the Philly run out of Nick Foles there as well. So Wentz back with Frank Reich and out of Philly. I don't know that the Colts go to Philly next year, but whenever they do, for the first time, he will get the Philly treatment. He will get lustily booed.
Yeah. Well, he was good with Reich, and obviously Reich.
He was till he got hurt in the playoff game at the Coliseum against the Rams.
He thinks he was, a great deal a part of that success, and I'm sure that Wentz feels the same way, or he wouldn't be going for a second chance with Indy. I'm sure that's all about Reich and the belief in the two have in one another. My question for you is, do you think that Carson Wentz returns to the form that he had prior to that injury?
I don't know that he can. It's not his fault, but he's always been hurt. He's been very injury prone. Now, in fairness to him, I thought, especially this year and even into last year, what did he have around him in Philly? That offensive line is kind of slop now. What home run hitter does he have at wide receiver? What kind of running game? And that's in a division that's been there for the taking.
Yeah. Well, that O-line was terrible last year, and the coaching job that was put in last year was just awful. I think Wentz would have been better with any new coach, but I don't blame him for going where he is. But I'm with you. I got to see the guy play a whole year before I'm convinced that he's terrific. I was not enamored with the prospect that the Bears were thinking about going after him. But then again, I'm not exactly enamored with the Bears staying with Mitch Trubisky either. But in the words of John Calipari, it is exactly what
Dave,
it is.
I'm not wild about Jalen. I love Jalen Hurts, the story. I love Jalen Hurts, the competitor. But I don't know that I saw enough productivity out of him for him to be anointed and handed the job at OTAs.
No, I agree. I think everything's up in the air there, just the same way it is for Tua. The two that are always going to be talked about in the same breath. I'm not sure the folks in Miami believe that Tua is their guy either. So you may have nailed it. I don't know if it'll be 14, but it may approximate that number. We're going to have a lot of different quarterbacks, and the National Football League is going to look a lot different next year, except for the two guys that played in the Super Bowl. They're going to be starting for the same team. I can promise you that.
The most ever was 16 out of 30 in 1999 when the league was just 30. So that was the most ever, and that was a lot of turnover that year.
14 out of 32 is still, quite a bit of turnover. No question about that, if indeed that is where the number goes. This portion of the show brought to you by the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I'm not kidding. That's Dinstall's. And when we're allowed to go back on the street safely, there's a lot of places you can go to get Dinstall's now. You can go the original place where we usually do our remote. That's where they make the candy on Pleasant View. The one in my neighborhood's been around a long time. That is in Laurelwood. Of course, Germantown's been around a while. Collierville is new. And don't forget they have on the weekends the store downtown. Eventually, I think they're going to do a candy museum there. I can't wait to see that. But Becky did want to pass along to all of you who were a part of that sale that they had, or that you came by and waited in the cold like a lot of us did to get our Dinstall's candies. Oh, my goodness. She wants to thank all of you. This year, you wouldn't know that we were freezing or that we were in a pandemic. They absolutely slayed it. And it's because it's all so good, from the strawberries to the cashew crunch to the turtlettes to, of course, the signature milk chocolate or the fudge that wins awards. Dinstall's is a signature piece of Memphis. When you think of the great things in Memphis, you think of Dinstall's. That's an hour in the books. When we return, we will head to Orlando, and our friend from Yahoo, Keith Smith, is next on the NBA.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli, with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
You ever lie awake at night, can't sleep, not wanting to see what time it is because that's just going to keep you up? Tonight, try ZzzQuil Pure Z's all night. Unlike other sleep aids, our extended-release melatonin helps you fall asleep naturally and then slowly releases so you stay asleep longer through the night. It's non-habit-forming with no next-day grogginess. ZzzQuil Pure Z's all night, so you can fall asleep and stay asleep. Available at retailers near you.
It may be cold outside, but your deals keep getting hotter and hotter, Jeff. Hey, let's conquer the cold and gear up for winter with the Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah President's Day sales event.
We got you covered, Randy. Let's talk. 2021 Kia Forte, $133 a month lease. 2021 Kia Soul, redesigned inside and out, $149 a month lease. And a 2021 Kia K5, $182 a month lease. All just 36 months, $3149 due at signing.
That's what I'm talking about, Jeff. Plus, every Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah comes with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah, 2680 Mount Moriah, or KiaMountMoriah.com.
All 36-month leases, $31.49 due at signing, 0 security deposit, 10,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage, $650 acquisition fee, Forte, ME3 19,038, MSRP 20,625, sold M77 55,638, MSRP 20,660, K5 MG 005560, MSRP 25,725, include all manufacturer rebates and incentives, PF 695, excludes tax filer license, with approved credit, see dealer for complete details, offer valid through 3/1/21, dealer stock only.
At First Bank Mortgage, their core purpose is to help you get to a better place. That better place may be a lower monthly payment, that vacation you thought was impossible, or getting into a home with a fenced backyard where your kids can play. To get into your better place, First Bank Mortgage makes decisions right here at home. Dedicated to helping you get to your better place, First Bank Mortgage. Call Daniel Mooney at 901-462-0145 today. NMLS 741022. Equal housing lender.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Hour 2 starts on this Thursday afternoon, February 18th, 2021, and we started how we start every Thursday during NBA time, and that's with our friend Keith Smith from Yahoo Sports, covering all things NBA, based out of Orlando, where it is a lot warmer than it is, well, really about everywhere else in the continental United States. Keith Smith down in Orlando covering the NBA and visiting with us. And, Dave, I know we've wondered a lot, and that's where I want to start with Keith. We've wondered a lot, why so sacrosanct for the NBA to put on this All-Star game against a lot of criticism with the mayor of Atlanta, Mayor Bottom. She has said, stay out of my town. Don't come here to party. The players don't want it, but it's going to happen, Keith. And today we see some really good causes that a lot of that will be the charitable benefactors of it. But this is one of the most unpopular All-Star games ever.
Yeah, you're spot on with that. It is something that very few people seem to have any desire for this season. And I don't know that we're going to see the top guys end up actually playing in this All-Star game or not. I think what you may see is a handful of guys a day or two before come down with a not badly sprained ankle, but a sprained ankle or back spasms or something like that, and they that may keep them out. So the reason they're doing it, though, much like the reason a lot of things get done, is money. We all know where that is at, and that's exactly why this All-Star game is happening.
Well, I didn't realize that it was as big a giver as it is. Apparently, they give $2.5 million to historically black colleges and universities as part of the event. I think they're going to spend some of that this year for those PSAs that we've been talking about to support awareness around equity and access to COVID-19 care, relief, and of course vaccines. So, that is where he stands, and I think a big part of that is not just giving, but to satisfy his TV partner. I really thought, based on the stuff I was hearing yesterday, that this wouldn't happen. But when Adam Silver comes out and says on national TV today it's the right thing to do, this game is going to happen now.
Yeah, absolutely. There is no chance that this doesn't happen, barring some kind of massive outbreak in the next couple of weeks, which, let's all keep our fingers crossed that it doesn't go that way. But if things stay status quo, this game is going to go off, and we'll see, how it is. And they're putting it all on one day. It's not going to be the whole weekend type setup like it usually is. So we'll see how that comes together. And there are things that the NBA does well, and I think things that even when they take criticism, you can see the real logic behind it and why they've got to do some of the things they've got to do. Unfortunately, this is not one of those things. I just don't see the need to do this. I know it's a big revenue driver, and there are these charitable efforts related to this, but as a lot of people beyond me and people who are smarter and understand it better than I do have pointed out, you could do the charitable efforts without hosting the game anyway.
Keith, I don't want to do any finger pointing, but I do want to do the kind of some congratulations, some pats on the back, and a lot of it I know is just pure old fashioned luck. But who are some of the teams you think have better handled COVID protocol, keeping their players away from things, keeping their players away from being tested positive or having to quarantine, contact tracing? What are a couple of the teams that have done an exceptional good job in your opinion?
You know, that's kind of hard to answer because I think they're all doing the best they can. I don't know that anybody COVID-wise is doing more than necessarily anyone else is. I think they're all doing basically the same sort of things, but I think what you have seen is it's definitely been an impact as far as look at a team like the Utah Jazz. I don't know that they've had any COVID absences since the things got tipped off. They've only had a handful of games missed through injury, Mike Conley being one of those guys right now. And then you've got the LA Lakers, who other than Anthony Davis, they've been relatively healthy this season. And those two teams are the two best teams in the league. And I think that's what we're seeing is how much the COVID absences combined with the more traditional injuries, how big of an impact that's having on this season.
I'm glad you brought up Utah because we are almost at the halfway mark, which is, you know, the All-Star game's usually a little bit past the halfway mark. But Utah is clearly the best team record-wise in the entire NBA. I guess Quinn Snyder would be the coach of the year. Is Utah the biggest pleasant surprise of the year, and would Snyder be your guy?
That's a good question. They're definitely way up on that list, and they probably are at the top of the list. I expected them to be a playoff team, but I certainly did not expect them to be sitting here with the best record in the NBA and by a decent margin this early on. So that is big time. And Quinn Snyder is owed a huge part of that. This is a team that historically in years past has started pretty slow. And they have, it's taken them a while to get kind of going. And they are generally a team that's, they're 500 through 20 games or so. And then they really take off in the latter part of the season. And this year they came right out going. And I think you're seeing the benefit of their continuity. The only player that they added of note was Derek Favors. And that's even kind of an odd addition because he had spent, a better part of a decade with the Jazz prior to leaving for just 1 year. So you're really seeing that come together. And that team, I say this regularly now, they know who they are more than any team in the league, and that's really important. They've got nothing left that they're trying to figure out about who they are. It's just about executing.
Would they try to add anything, or do they not only know who they are, but they're comfortable with who they are?
Yeah, that's a great point. I don't think they're going to add too much. They are barely under the hard cap right now, so they're pretty limited in what they could do if they wanted to add. And in order to add something, that would mean sending out a player. And I think when they have everybody, they like their 9-man rotation quite a bit. They go to the same 9 guys. It's almost like the old Jerry Sloan era where not only is it the same 9 guys, but the rotation is basically the same game to game where guys come in and out at almost the same times. Which is, very interesting until you get to the fourth quarter where it's a little more kind of freehand and you play it by flow. So I think that's what is, I would be very surprised if they make moves because I think they're pretty comfortable with what they are. Something falls in their laps, that's a massive upgrade at a position, sure, but I think they're very likely to run the rest of the year with what they've got.
I've always liked coaches. You bring up a great point where Snyder is the same rotations at roughly the same points in all the games. And the reason I say that is if you talk to players prepare themselves for the exact moments when they're coming in. They love the uniformity of it, the routine. So they know they're going to come in. They know exactly the kind of minutes they're going to get. They're playing with the same guys because it's the same rotation, and they perfected that in practice, and it carries over. I've always liked that. And then the hot hands are the ones or matchups that will determine the fourth quarter. I think that is the right way to do it. Along the lines of Snyder maybe being the coach of the year, 2 things. Who is the player of the first half, the MVP of the first half? Who would be, and I think this one's easier, the comeback player of this year so far?
The player of the first half, I'm going to give that to Joel Embiid. I think LeBron James is right there for sure, and I think there's a couple other guys you could make a case for, Nikola Jokic among them. But I think that Joel Embiid has been phenomenal this year. We have, for how many years running, have we said, if he just gets in shape and can be that guy deep into games and really, wants it, he could be a monster. Well, he did it. And I think I want to find out, and I just haven't had the opportunity to ask him, but I would love to find out if he really took to heart getting swept in last season's playoffs. And if he, basically came back and said, that is never going to happen to me again, because he has been an absolute monster all season long, and just no one can deal with him. It's almost, you have to hope he either misses a game or gets himself in foul trouble. Comeback player of the year, it's Kevin Durant. I don't know how you can probably pick anybody else. He has come right back at a near MVP level, looks really good, even though he's had a couple other injuries. He's had a couple COVID absences himself. But, he looks like he didn't miss a beat, which is absolutely remarkable considering the history of guys returning from the Achilles tear.
Could comeback coach of the year be Doc Rivers coaching Joel Embiid in Philly?
Yeah, that's a good question. He could be. I think people had soured on him a little bit in the job he had done with the Clippers. That tends to happen when you're in a place for a very long time, unless you're, Greg Popovich and you've got a long history of success. If you're not winning championships or at least competing for them year after year, a lot of people aren't. They start to, feel get kind of down on you. And now he's gone to Philly, and Doc is one of these guys. If you want to take your program from good to great, I think Doc is the guy who can do that. The question is, can he take you from great to champion? He did that with Boston and then had them in the running on a team that looked like they had about a 2 or 3 year window. He stretched that out to 5 years. He was a big part of that. Then he got guys to accept lesser roles and those kind of things. So I think you're seeing right now the value of Doc Rivers. What he may lack as a, master tactician on the sideline, and he's good in that area, but anything he lacks there, he more than makes up for in understanding players and roles and things like that.
How about the guy in the East who's chasing Doc Rivers, who he really isn't getting any credit because he's got 3 great players, but a lot of the time those 3 great players haven't all been there. You mentioned Kevin Durant missing games. Kyrie Irving is flaking out. James Harden just arrived. What about the job, only a game and a half behind Philly in the East for the top seed, that Steve Nash is putting in?
Yeah, he's doing really, really well, and that is not an easy situation. It already wasn't going to be easy when they had to take essentially a whole lot of guys and say to those guys, hey, we know you guys were huge parts of our success the last couple of years, but now we've got Irving and Durant, and they're going to kind of run things. We're going to run things through them. They're the guys that are going to control things. That is difficult. Then what you have behind that is the James Harden trade, which makes it even harder on Steve Nash. But I think you're seeing the value. He made sure to retain Jacques Vaughn, which was really smart. Then he went out and hired Mike D'Antoni, Ime Udoka, and several other veteran assistants. And I think that was the idea of Steve Nash, almost taking the old business principle of, hey, hire smarter people than you because they're going to make you better. And I think that's made a huge difference for this Nets team, because now Nash isn't having to learn everything on the fly. He's got all these guys he can lean on and say, hey, when you went through that, how did you handle this situation? And that's made a big difference.
Could be a preview of the NBA Finals tonight when the Nets are in Staples against the Lakers. That's a fantastic matchup tonight. The Nets are playing a lot better. I don't think the league would mind come July, hot time of July and summertime TV, Brooklyn and New York City against Tinseltown.
No, not at all. They would love that. That'd be, fantastic. The unfortunate part of tonight's game is Anthony Davis is out, Kevin Durant is out, so we're only going to get a somewhat of a sense of what it might look like. And I don't know that really bothers Steve Nash or Frank Vogel all that much. I think they're perfectly content with not showing their cards all this early to a team they may need to beat to win a championship. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a fun one. I think we're going to be kind of in a position where we'll see how this comes together over the next little bit for these teams, because they're both they're trying to win games, and that's a little bit more so than the Lakers. But what they're both really doing is making sure that they're healthy and ready to go come postseason.
What is going on with the Milwaukee Bucks? Now they've lost 4 in a row. Is there trouble in Wisconsin?
You know what's funny is I don't think so, and I know that it might seem a little weird because we're kind of looking at a team that isn't playing quite as well as they had been. But I think what you're seeing with the Bucks is this is short-term losses for long-term gains, because something that they're doing is they're now mixing and matching defenses. They're running their offense a little bit different through things. So I think that is really important. And I think what you're seeing with this is that's causing them to struggle there. But I think Milwaukee full on realized after last season's playoffs, winning, a ton of regular season games and, blowing through these teams and all this stuff and historic scoring differentials and all that, that doesn't do anything for us in the playoffs, because we've seen what happened. We've washed out earlier than expected each of the last 2 years. So now it's, all right, we'll lose a couple regular season games because we're going to learn stuff here on the fly. We're going to get things put together that may work for us in the postseason. And I think this is a situation where let's not overreact to these losses now, because they may pay off big time down the line.
Keith Smith with us from Yahoo Sports. He also contributes at Real GM, Celtics blog, the front office show. He's on Twitter at Keith Smith NBA. You know the Celtics as well as anyone, and I've following you on Twitter, I've noticed the give and take with Celtics fans. Brad Stevens is honeymoon's been over, but he's not in any. I know he's not in any job jeopardy, Keith. But here's my question: if one of those big, glamorous Rolls-Royce college jobs open, Kentucky, Kansas, North Carolina, Duke, would he at all be tempted by that with some of the give and take that he's having to get and to give this year?
Yeah, that's been the question for a long time, is would Brad Stevens leave for one of those blue blood college programs? Would he head out to take the Indiana job because that's home for him? Now, that's when the one that everybody's always kind of wondered on. People have looked and said, well, what if Coach K decides to go outside of the family and wants to go with Brad Stevens to succeed him at Duke? Would that be the direction you want to go? But I think what we're more likely to see is he's just going to stick in the NBA now. What happens with a lot of these guys, and I thought Fred Hoiberg put this best, was when you're a college coach and you get the taste of that NBA coaching, you do not want to go back to college. The thing most college coaches hate most above all else is the recruiting. And Fred Hoiberg put it, I'll paraphrase so you don't get in trouble with any of the airwaves people, but blankety blank recruiting there. And that was a direct quote from him a couple years ago at an event I was at. And that I think now he is back in the college game, of course, but I think you're seeing the difference. So I think Brad Stevens is probably going to stick. He's not going to leave Boston of his own accord. At this point, I wouldn't imagine. He just signed an extension right before the start of the bubble. The Celtics keep those coaching extensions very tight to the vest. So we have no idea if it was for how many years or how much money. But the guess is that was probably at least another 4 to 6 year extension, because that's what he's done on the first two deals that he signed. So I think he's in Boston for a while to stay.
And the average an NBA coach makes about $6 to $8 million a year.
Yeah, in that range. For the guys who have been around for a little bit, sometimes it'll be a little lower for a first-time head coach. Sometimes it'll be a little higher for a guy who's been around for a long time and is one of the kind of marquee glamour names.
I'm curious.
Trade deadline time, do you think it'll be really active, Keith, and do you think the Grizzlies will have any activity at trade deadline?
Yeah, to the first part of your question, I do, but I think we've got to, hold on. A lot of people, are saying, why are we not seeing trades? Why is nobody doing anything? There's two reasons for that. One, our body clock tells us it should be trade deadline time, but the season's on this weird calendar, so we're a ways out from it actually being trade deadline time, where we've got another, little bit to go. So we're not in a position where we should really be thinking, all right, this is deadline time right now. It's 5 weeks from today. So we're going to have at least another 2-3 weeks. Things usually don't pick up until we're about 2 or 3 weeks out from the deadline. That's when things get really, really serious. The other thing is with the advent of the play-in, so many teams are still in it. So teams aren't willing to sell just yet because that's even in this weird season where you don't have a lot of fans, that can be tough to say, hey, I know we're only a couple games out of a playoff spot or out of the play-in spot, but, can we, we're going to go in a different direction. That can be hard to tell your fans. To the last part of your question about the Grizzlies, I think they'll be active. I don't know how hyper-aggressive they're going to be. I think their focus in the second half will be more around, let's get these guys healthy. Let's see what we have with Jaren Jackson and Justice Winslow for the first time. Well, let's try to get all these guys on the court and evaluate. So I think they may be more of a stand pat kind of team at the trade deadline, and then I do think there's a chance this might be an aggressive offseason for them.
Last thing, and we're talking with Keith Smith from Yahoo Sports down in Orlando. You mentioned the play-in, and that means 10 teams that end up being whittled down to get to the 8 that we used to have. I know they did that for the bubble last year. I think they're doing it because of the shortened season this year. Refresh our memories. Is this something that is going to be part of the NBA from here on out?
I think it is. I think what the NBA is looking at is couple more games on TV in each conference, a little bit more revenue that comes in. There was a ton of excitement around that play-in game last year. Everybody loved that. I think they may, still kind of tweak and adjust it because I'm already hearing some stuff from teams about, hey, the standings qualifier should still be there. That should be a thing. Even if you're in 10th, but you're 7 games back, that shouldn't be a thing. So we'll see how that part of it comes together. But I do think this is here to stay. I think the other piece is they like that teams are in it this long because this means that no one is openly tanking today. No one is pushing to get out of it or anything like that. Everyone is trying to stay in things and do the best they can later into the season. So I think this play-in is going to be around for a while.
That's two-thirds of the league stays in to the very end. So you're right. I mean, that makes for meaningful games and less tanking, and I'm all for that. My friend, thank you much. You're lucky you live in a great place in the world. You don't have to worry about being frozen out.
No, I hate to tell you guys, but I'm at the soccer field for my daughter, and it's 85 degrees here today. So it is, I think we're the only place in the country with no snow. So I apologize for that, but think of us when it's 90 degrees and 100% humidity and it's rained for 5 days straight in the middle of the summertime.
We will.
Well,
Thank
I'll
you so
try to
much.
Remember that. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Stay safe, you and yours.
You got
it. That is Keith Smith down in Orlando. Our title sponsor for this hour of the program, well, that's Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch. And you know those Hyundais, they were voted top safety automobile all of last year in the world. Well, they were tied with one other company. That's pretty high standards right there. Speaking of high standards, the other aspect of Homer Skelton Hyundai is the Genesis part, and they're redoing the entire building. They're going to bring in more cars. They're going to update the facility, and they're going to start really concentrating a lot more on Genesis because Genesis cars are taking the world by storm. Look, this product's so good. Every car, Hyundai or Genesis, you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. And with Genesis, they're really high. So is Hyundai, but they're really high on service now. They're trying to make it a full-service place where if you would like a G70, a G80, or a G90, they will actually bring the car to you or that brand-new SUV, the GB80. They will bring it to you, and they got a GB70 coming maybe by the end of spring. That's a little smaller. So there'll be 2 Genesis SUVs on the market. And, of course, we talk about service. This team that's been put together by Chris True, they're all about service. Now they give you a 3-year, 36,000-mile maintenance package because they want to take care of your car. All you got to do is get on Lamar. That's Highway 78. Exit 1 is Craft Road in Mississippi. Turn left. Go see the gang that's been together for 13 years. The gang that has raised the standard for the way car business should be done. You'll know when you've arrived at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. We take a timeout. When we return, the head football coach of the University of Memphis, that is Ryan Silverfield. He'll break down his brand newly released schedule when we come back.
Do you know who I am?
Who are you? I'm Superfly TNT.
Johnny Radio.
Where do you want to be? 1 to 3? Right here with me. Sports 56, 98.5, 96.1 FM, Monday through Friday. This is Sports 56 Happy Hour, your good buddy Johnny Radio.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
If you're going on vacation, making a college campus visit, or if business takes you out of town, there's just no better place to board your dog than Barks and Recreation, 965 Reddick Cove between Bud Davis Cadillac and the Blue Plate Cafe in East Memphis. Boarding, daycare, grooming, we have the best of everything at Barks. Indoor-outdoor kennels so your family member can go in and out as they please. Indoor and outdoor play areas. 4 walks a day, group play, and individual attention from the best staff in the Mid-South, which includes an overnight staff to ensure the safety and comfort of your pet 24 hours a day. All reasons to choose Barks and Recreation above all other boarding and daycare facilities. BarksDaycare.com or 509-0909. Check us out and make your reservations now at BarksDaycare.com. If your dog could speak, he'd say Barks.
All 75 months at 3.04%. Mirage MH 002682, MSRP 16865, G4 MHF 01572, MSRP 18360, Outlander Sport MU 004915, MSRP 24740. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month. Dealer stock only.
Ready, set, start your new year with a new ride from Gossett Mitsubishi on Covington Pike. Get the hatchback hero in 2021 Mirage, $12,342 or $129 a month. 2021 Mitsubishi Mirage G4, 41 mpg highway, $13,997 or $149 a month. And jumpstart your journey in 2021 Outlander Sport, $17,938 or $199 a month. And these are not leases. You own your new ride. Plus, you get Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. That's Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop online at memphismitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Has your child swallowed your medicine, your laundry detergent, your nail polish remover? Call the Poison Helpline. Have you inhaled paint thinner, glue, pesticides? Call the Poison Helpline. Have a question about a dose, a fume, something your kid just drank? Call the Poison Helpline. Poisonings can happen at the home, on the job, or in the great outdoors. Call the Poison Helpline first for fast, free advice from medical professionals. Call 1-800-222-1222 anytime, anywhere. 1-800-222-1222. Save the number, save a life. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
We welcome you back into all of our satellite studios today. Me in East Memphis, Brett in Forest City, holding down the fort at the Flynn Broadcasting Center, of course, is Drew Barrett. A real pleasure for us in the midst of winter to speak with the head football coach of the University of Memphis. That is Ryan Silverfield. And, of course, today was the big release of the 2021 Tiger football schedule. It starts first weekend in September with Nicholls State, a team that many may not know, but has been to the FCS playoffs. I think it's the last 3 years. Coach, as you break this down, give me some of the points that you're most looking forward to as we get set for your second full season. Good afternoon.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Appreciate you guys having me on. Yeah, I mean, it's exciting to release the schedule today. A lot of good opponents on there. Let me start by saying you're exactly right. The thing I'm most looking forward to is hopefully having a packed Liberty Bowl. Let's keep our fingers crossed that we can get through this pandemic and safely have a stadium full of our wonderful fans and a great home venue. Obviously, having 7 home games is great for us, especially since we got such a great home and field advantage here in Memphis. But then you're exactly right. Opening with Nichols, a program that has gone to the playoffs the last 3 years. In fact, they've got some former Memphis Tigers on their team and a lot of D1 transfers. They're actually playing a spring season as well. So we're going to have our hands full, that's for sure. And then, our non-conference schedule has got some great opponents on it. And then, look, it's hard to argue that our conference isn't one of the best in the country. There's no easy games. There's no cupcake teams. There's no bottom-of-the-barrel teams in our conference. The AAC is locked and loaded, and I expect the same this year.
Coach, I'm with you. I described it earlier to Dave as brutal. Okay, maybe that word was a little over the top, but most competitive is for sure. This schedule has its challenges. You were able to meet and succeed last year so very well in your first year and win a bowl game and to finish the year in fine style and battling everything that you had to battle in 2020. But 2021, you're right. It is most competitive, and the real meat on the bone in this is your league.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I mean, look, it's you used to be able to point at teams in our conference, and Memphis was one of them many years ago. But that's a winnable game. There are no such things anymore. I mean, we saw. I wouldn't even call them upsets anymore, right? I mean, Tulsa's the cream of the crop. I mean, last couple of years they've been. I mean, look, they took us to the wire 2 years ago when we played at their place, and their young freshman kicker missed that field goal, which allowed us to have college game day and changed a lot of things in our program. And then, just look at look, USF's going to continue to get better. Tulane. I mean, we haven't won a game at Tulane since I can remember. And obviously they're coming to our place, but there are no teams in our conference anymore that you look at. I mean, look what Cincinnati did to us last year and then goes back and almost beats Georgia. It's a great conference from top to bottom. And look, who wants to line up and play Navy every year? There are no easy games, and every week presents its own challenges.
Well, let's start with the second week then. You have to go to Jonesboro, which every time I go there seems to get bigger. Their facilities are outstanding. They're trying to get into a better league, I think, and they're becoming a real force. And they've got a new coach in Butch Jones. And Memphis, I'm not saying struggle, but it was 37-24 at home last time you played. That'll be an interesting matchup.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Look, Arkansas State's done a great job recruiting. You're exactly right about their facilities. I mean, I don't want to say this on air, but they got some really nice things there. And hiring a new coach in Butch Jones, who had a lot of success, who has had success in this conference, in his days with Cincinnati. And look, there's a reason that they're excited there. They should be. And we know that's going to be a tough matchup. We recruit a lot of the same players. And that for them, that's going to be, depending on crowd line. So I expect almost a sellout there in Jonesboro, and it's going to be a heck of a battle for us.
And, Coach, it's one of your many areas of football expertise, and it starts in the line of scrimmage. And I was watching that Cincinnati-Georgia game, and I was texting with Gabe Kuhn, one of your favorite guys I know. I was texting with Gabe. At the line of scrimmage, Cincinnati was matching Georgia.
Yep, well, you're exactly right, and that's and I don't hide from this. We've got to do a better job in the trenches, and that's one of those things. Credit to Cincinnati. Everybody's saying, wow, what a wonderful recruiting class that we had this past year. And I don't get caught up on the ring because I really don't. But everybody says, man, this is the highest rated class in the history of the program. Well, great. Guess what? It still doesn't beat Cincinnati's last 3 classes. I mean, they had a higher ranked class than us this year and the previous 3 years. And they've been able to recruit at a high level and put together a solid program consistently. And where they kicked our tail in our game as well as in the trenches. And they're not losing a lot of guys. They had guys that wanted to come back that were draftable. They had a D lineman with a second-round grade that decided to come back for another year. So That's you sit there and point at that team. I mean, you can't. It's no different than Memphis teams of old, and where we hope to continue to be is that they should be able to compete with anybody in the country.
One of your accomplishments in this crazy year that we just went through was that you were the first guy since they were FCS, to beat UCF, and now they lose Josh Heupel, but they get Gus Malzahn. What was your first thought when you heard Malzahn was taking over the reins in Orlando?
Well, look, Gus has done a fantastic job everywhere he's been. The guy won a national championship. He's highly regarded. You know, he does a good job. He's going to call the offense down for there. You know, they recruit really well everywhere he's been. And look, all that does is continue to add to what people truly believe our conference is. Right?
Sure.
There's a guy that, from what I know, he turned down Power 5 jobs this year. And like a lot of people, they eyed that UCF job as one of the premier ones in the country. It's always been talent rich. Some people, you talk to other coaches in our conference, say, man, they've always got the most loaded roster, no matter who the head coach is and what they lose, just because of where they're located and their facilities. And it's the largest school in the country. And so I don't expect them to skip a beat. But, I like that streak. Let's keep it at 1-0, and then let's move it to 2-0 next year when we have the opportunity to go down to the Bounce House in Orlando.
Was that which one was the more fun win? That game against UCF, putting 100 on the board, or the bowl game?
Look, I think I was happy. The UCF one, obviously, it ended in fun fashion, and so sometimes those are exciting. But to me, it's not about really marks in my career or what's going on with the program. I was happy for the program, happy for the players that hadn't had that opportunity. But I think when we won the bowl game, and to see the smile of our young men's face, it put a stamp on the ending to a heck of a season. Like you guys said, the guys went through so much. The student athletes hung with us, that fought through the adversity, that really pushed through and fought through. It was all for them, and it was for our city that had been hungry for a bowl win. And I've heard people, I talked to boosters and fans alike, and that said, man, that win was so significant, regardless of the opponent, regardless of the score, just because of it meant so much to get a bowl win finally. And then to our players. I mean, we've had guys that have, won conference championships, guys that have, been everywhere, played in the Cotton Bowl, and then they talked about how winning that bowl game meant the world to them. And, really, there's about 5 weeks left in the season, guys. And I told our team, and it was a decimated team with low numbers, almost half the number we started with. And I told them, I said, those of you that will stay and continue to push through, these are life lessons that you'll understand, that battling through adversity when things don't go your way, and keep pushing, because if this is hard for you now, well, life's going to kick you in the teeth. And I told them, I said, those that stay and continue to fight, we'll be hoisting a trophy at the end of this thing. And to be able to look at the guys in the locker room and be able to hoist that trophy with them, I was just so honored and proud. So probably said that bowl game win.
As you've reflected now, you've had a chance, and you're getting ready for spring. But as you have, how tough was last year with having to jiggle ball games around, which can't help your preparation, of having all those opt-outs and those transfers? How hard in your whole experience as not just a head coach, but going back to being an assistant or in the NFL, how hard was last year?
Yeah, Dave, I'm not going to complain, and I don't certainly want to, complain about what happened last year and go through all that stuff. But my 22 years of coaching, I assume that I'll never see anything like that again, nor have I ever seen anything close to that. And I think that same sentiment is shared with other head coaches, right? You only talk about your first year as a head coach always being drinking from a fire hose, and then all of a sudden you add all this. It was quite a bit. But again, I've got such wonderful coaches around me, such great support staff, leadership at the university, from Dr. Rudd to Laird Beach to everybody that's I deal with on a day-to-day basis, and our support staff. Daryl Turner, our athletic trainer, everybody's just done a phenomenal job making my life a little bit easier. And again, like I said, the credit should go to the players that stuck around and fought. So was it difficult? Heck yes. And I hope I can say, man, my first year was the hardest, and it's all going to be downhill from here. So maybe I won't turn as gray so quickly as I did this past year.
Ryan, that last year was not drinking water out of a fire hose. That was going over Niagara Falls in a barrel. That was a tough year. And I said on these airwaves, I thought you had the most consequential first-year job turned in of any Tiger head coach ever. We're visiting with the head coach of the Memphis Tigers, Coach Ryan Silverfield. Y'all know him, and you know the voice, and you know the success he had. And when this offseason, I'd love to be in your analyst room, in that boiler room with your GAs and your ops people when they start, watching a lot of these teams, not necessarily putting together game plans, but you've got to get ready for Mike Leach, who's going to run 5 wides and maybe rush the ball with running backs about 10 times in a game, and you also have to get ready for a wishbone. There's no more alpha to omega in an offseason to prepare for Mike Leach and Coach Neil Montalolo.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But you know what? I just feel fortunate. Hopefully not. You have an off season. It was about getting close to this time last year that we gave our young men a little spring break, and that spring break turned into a 3-month hiatus. So I'm looking forward to be able to grind through some good film and prepare for those, like you said, polar opposite offenses and teams that we get to face. So the challenges that will be faced for us in 2021. Certainly will be unique and different from a scheduling standpoint, but look, the opportunity to get out there and have spring ball and to prepare, man, I can't wait.
As you do get ready and you look at this schedule, I noticed 8 games and you get your bye. Now, I remember, I think it was one year with Justin Fuente. It was like after the first game they had a bye. He was really upset about that. And then one year, and this might have been with you and Mike, where it was really, really late in the year. Do you like that bye at about where it is?
I'm not going to complain about it. I do. The only thing I think maybe a game or two before, because, with 4 games left in the regular season, it does give you a chance to catch your breath. I prefer it wouldn't be after a Friday game, right? Let's prefer it after a Saturday, or, and then you play Navy on a short week on a Thursday. So those are the 2 things that if I had my druthers, it's hard to go play an away game and then turn back around and prepare for Navy on a Thursday, because that's one of those games that you're going to need up until kickoff to make sure you guys are on the same page with what they need to do. And so if I could have my bye, I'd say, hey, after Game 7, but where it's at is fine. Hopefully we're healthy and well, and it'd just be a chance to catch our breath as we continue on in the season.
It appears the league very much wants to make Memphis and Tulane at the end of the year kind of geographical rivals. Is that okay with you, or did you prefer kind of the end of the year thing for a few years there being Houston?
Well, I enjoyed that Houston game. I always said that some of my most memorable games at Memphis have been the Houston, that Friday game of Thanksgiving. I think that's great. I love those. I'm an 11 a.m. game fan, if you couldn't tell by this year when we finally got to choose our own. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure some of the fans weren't as happy with me on that, but our players, with us being a morning practice team, preferred it as well. But, look, if Tulane has certainly turned into a more prominent team in our conference, so it does seem to shift the focus on that. And I know right now it's tentatively scheduled for a Friday or Saturday, but I'm good with that regional matchup. Look, both of them are rivalries. I think that's certainly, teams that we've been playing year in and year out that have given us everything we want and more.
Ryan, if you don't mind, refresh our memory on the way these transfer rules are working. I was thinking it was blanket, and when Grant Gunnell transferred to Memphis, that was immediate eligibility. I don't know if there has been a change in that, all tied in with the NLI stuff and the Justice Department. Where are the transfers that committed earlier on? What is their eligibility status right now?
Yeah, so the NLI stuff has been tabled for now. As we know, the NCAA actually voted on some new legislation last time. But the belief, again, who am I to guess on what the NCAA is going to do, is that the one-time transfer waiver will go through for all, and they'll be this year, and then they'll try to figure that out. And I'm sure it'll go into legislation. They're just trying to figure out, the biggest thing is, at what point do they shut the transfer portal off, right? And that's my concern, Dave, is, what happens if you have a player and it's August 18th and they're not happy with where they're on the depth chart, and all of a sudden they enter the transfer portal and then they decide to go play at Mississippi State? Well, now all of a sudden that guy's got our playbook and he was just in our training camp. I mean, it turns into college free agency. Do you now reduce your scholarships that you have on your roster in case you want to bring some more guys in? I mean, and so some of that, Dave, is still up in the air, guys, and what they're trying to do with that. to be frank, with the number of opt-outs we had and guys that we asked to move on, you know, you're sitting there down a few scholarships because you can only fill in. Everyone always says, man, why don't you go get this guy out of the portal? Why don't you go get that guy? Well, the reality of it is we're only allowed 25 initial scholarships. And if you guys look at the signing class we signed, it's really hard-pressed to get past that and expect to sign more guys. I'm sure we'll be able to find room, but everybody you sign then reflects for the following year. So then, you know, next year you may only have a signing class of 12 to 15, but it goes back, I've talked to you guys about in the past, is, you know, you don't onboard your whole roster and just go get a bunch of transfers of people and then stop signing freshmen. You know, that's the wrong type of mentality that I would have here.
And your numbers, just to go over this, you're pretty well full, right? I mean, everybody sees the opt-outs and the transfers, but your numbers are healthy.
I've got 100. We have 103 guys on our roster as of this morning, and will we lose some more in the transfer portal? I'm sure we will. And I've been very open and transparent about it. Look, not everybody likes the way we're going to do things and the culture that I want to create. And there's also some guys that it's not the best fit for them here, and in the way we're going to do things. But 103 guys on the roster, and you know, having 7 of those seniors come back for an additional year, there really wasn't a whole lot of room for many other people. And everyone says, well, you could go get this guy. Why would this guy leave? And the reality of it is, you know, I could have sat there and said, I'm going to bring back, you know, even Brady White for his 12th year, right? I'm going to bring all these guys back, and I'm not going to sign any freshmen. Well, then you guys, then the media would have been on my tail saying, man, he didn't sign any freshmen.
Exactly.
All he's trying to do is win now and get out. But now everybody's, oh, well, you signed the best class in school history. That's great. And so you can't have your cake and eat it too. I'm trying to keep a balance.
Coach, don't listen to that darn media. You know better than that.
Believe me, if I did, I would drive myself crazy.
That's right.
So, no, it's been good. I've been trying to keep a balanced roster, you know, from not only the additional seniors, but seniors on this year, all the way through. And look, the reality of it is, I think we're in a new day and age of football. Is if some of these young men, they may not be, you know, happy with an academic fit, and they may be all transfer. They may not where they like on their depth chart. You know, they may not like me. You know, they may not like our food that we're serving for lunch, and they may want to go somewhere else. They may not like the snow today. So whatever their reason is, so be it. And I think that's the day and age we are in college football.
Absolutely. And we know this stuff's going to melt, and we know you got a spring game coming up, and heck, you start spring practice, what, about a month from now?
Yeah, a month away, exactly right. So we're less than a month. Our players are excited. I'm telling you guys, I really like the mindset of this team, the makeup of this team. You know, going on year 6, I can't promise you that this is the most talented Memphis roster we've had, but I'm telling you, this is a hungry group of high-character young men. They're going to go out there and compete, represent the 901 the right way, and I'm really, really excited about this group.
Coach, congratulations on the release today. Stay warm, stay healthy, and we'll be talking to you soon.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much. Go Tigers.
Thank you.
That is Ryan Silverfield, the main man, the head guy at the U of M. He's brought to you in part by Conway. Conway Service is heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and February. And you know, this kind of cold and snow, it's slow. John figures out ways to spark business by giving away stuff, like an 80% Carrier gas furnace if you purchase a Carrier standard air conditioning system. You get the air conditioning system, you pay for that, you get a free gas furnace in the month of February. And there's more. There's a free April air cleaner, a 10-year parts warranty. He throws that in. A free Nest thermostat, state-of-the-art. Now, that's about $2,000 worth of freebies there, and then there's 12 months interest-free. That's why it's February. How do you cash in? Call 384-3511. 384-3511. You're always going to get the award-winning service of Conway. That's Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and February. We'll take the quick break. When we come back, we'll touch base on the Grizzlies' win last night, and the first time in history that Tyler Jenkins was tossed from a game. What happened? We'll try to figure that out when we come back.
Listen online anywhere, anytime at sports56whbq.com.
You don't think about a lawyer until something goes wrong. When that happens, let attorney Stephen Leffler fight for you and your family. You don't leave the house in the morning expecting an accident, but it happens every day. A car wreck, you slip and fall, or you get accused of a crime and find yourself fighting for your reputation. Stephen Leffler has been fighting for you for over 35 years. Don't do it alone. Let Stephen Leffler fight your battles for you. Call Stephen Leffler, 901-527-8830, or go to LefflerLaw.com. Here to fight for you and your loved ones.
All 75 months at 3.04%. Mirage MH 002682. MSRP 16865. G4 MHF 01572. MSRP 18360. Outlander Sport MU 004915. MSRP 24740. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695. Excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month. Dealer stock only.
Ready, set, start your new year with a new ride from Gossett Mitsubishi on Covington Pike. Get the hatchback hero in 2021 Mirage, $12,342 or $129 a month. 2021 Mitsubishi Mirage G4, 41 mpg highway, $13,997 or $149 a month. And jumpstart your journey in 2021 Outlander Sport, $17,938 or $199 a month. And these are not leases. You own your new ride. Plus, you get Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. That's Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop online at memphismitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
If you're going on vacation, making a college campus visit, or if business takes you out of town, there's just no better place to board your dog than Barks and Recreation, 965 Reddick Cove between Bud Davis Cadillac and the Blue Plate Cafe in East Memphis. Boarding, daycare, grooming, we have the best of everything at Barks. Indoor-outdoor kennels so your family member can go in and out as they please. Indoor and outdoor play areas. 4 walks a day. Group play and individual attention from the best staff in the Mid-South, which includes an overnight staff to ensure the safety and comfort of your pet 24 hours a day. All reasons to choose Barks and Recreation above all other boarding and daycare facilities. BarksDaycare.com or 509-0909. Check us out and make your reservations now at BarksDaycare.com. If your dog could speak, he'd say Barks.
First Bank is here to help you, whether you're a business looking for a loan to expand or refinance an existing one, a homeowner looking for a mortgage or home equity line, a consumer wanting to finance your dream car, or wanting a competitive rate on your CD deposits. Let First Bank try to handle your banking needs. Stop into one of First Bank's 3 local branches today, 6482 Poplar Avenue just east of International Paper, 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase, and 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland, or check them out online at firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Drew Barrett's already put Coach Ryan Silverfield up at featured audio at sports56whpq.com. If you didn't get to catch all of it or would like to listen to it again or some parts of it again, you can at sports56whpq.com. Dave, do not misunderstand when I say brutal for that schedule next year, that I don't think, once again, Tiger football starts next year at a baseline of about 8.5 or 9, I think, on W's total. Just because it's tough does not mean I don't think they are up to it.
No, I think it'll be fun. You know, for me, and we've gotten a little spoiled with all the success, but I like good games. I don't necessarily want to go in and just, knock the heck out of everybody you play, and you really don't know how good you are. I like games that are really competitive. You want the Memphis team to, if you're a fan, to win every game, but you want to be tested, right? And you want to try to win a championship, and you're not going to just blow everybody away.
No, Dave, I want to win every game 85-0. I want a good close game, 85-0.
Yeah, well, you're not doing the play-by-play. I want it to be intriguing.
Now, two years ago,
I think really, truthfully, every one of these games, Memphis is going to have their share that they're favored in. But you're not looking at anybody here that you're a 20-point favorite. Most of these games are really going to be fun to watch, and that's what a fan wants.
2 years ago, that Tulsa game, that was an Ole Miss open date, and I went to Arkansas State that weekend to see Arkansas State play Texas State, and I'm driving home, and I'm about in Wynne, Arkansas, the home of D'Angelo Williams, when the Tulsa kicker is lining up the kick, okay? And I said, this is going to be either gonzo crazy or it's going to be really sad. And y'all sounded like crazy fun men.
We were crazy. I mean, that kicker, he set up the whole game day because
he
if
sure
he doesn't
did.
miss, SMU's not in the same position because he missed against them and he missed against us.
Poor guy.
My God. And you know what? Tulsa's basketball team has taken it out of Memphis' basketball team ever since. Speaking of basketball, since I teased it before we get out of here, what in the world was Taylor Jenkins doing last night? I don't know. Did he come on the floor too far?
I think he was running hot from the night before. I think he was still running hot from the night before.
Maybe. Well, he said something because I don't think it was just walking on because he called the timeout. But he must have said something to one of the officials because they gave him the old heave-ho, and nobody was really sure. But I did see a tweet from Pete Pranick who said it's the first time in his whole career that he's been ejected.
Well,
I'm sure
if he said anything very loud, somebody had to have heard him, but there was really hardly anybody else there to report it.
Well, that's like the old question. If a tree falls in the woods,
if Taylor Jenkins says the magic words at a Grizzlies
when nobody's there, I mean, come on. Yeah. There really was nobody else. You couldn't have gotten the scan count last night because the people who scanned
the scanners weren't there.
Exactly.
I was told under the roof, not 300 people in the building.
Wow, that is incredible. That really is. Oh, we got a fun last hour coming your way in the snow. Greg Gaston's going to join us to talk some Tigers. This final portion of hour number 2, presented by Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. Ken is a big dream builder. You got a dream house, he can build it for you. He's been doing it with his dad. That's a combination that's been building incredible homes throughout the Memphis area for 50 years. Maybe your dream is a renovation. Oh, he does that too. I call it renovation with innovation. All the modern technology in that old home that you love. You don't want to give up your lot. You don't want to give up that older place that feels like a nice, comfortable slipper. Heck no, you don't need to. You can put all the modern amenities into that older home to make it a modern palace. That's what Ken does. 751-1632, that's the number. Go look at the website, kengarland.com. You'll see what I'm talking about. Then call him and chat with him. He's fun to talk to, sees the little details and the big picture all at once. Check him out. Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. Back with hour number 3 in a minute. This is Sportstime on Sports 56.
Looking for a new home? Trying to sell your old home? Call Rule Smith of RE/MAX Experts for all your real estate needs. Buying or selling, you need a real estate expert like Rule Smith. 901-304-7827. Rule Smith is licensed in Tennessee with a decade of experience in the greater Memphis area. He knows the ins and outs of buying and selling a home, and he makes it easy for you. Count on Rule Smith's honest, no-nonsense approach to get the home you want, the home you need, and the home you can count on. Whether it's your first home, your next home, or your dream home, call real estate professional Rule Smith, 901-304-7827. That's 304-7827. Visit yourgermantownagent.com today. Again, yourgermantownagent.com. Call Rule Smith's cell phone today, 901-304-7827, or call the RE/MAX Experts office at 901-685-6000, and let Rule Smith rule your real estate needs.
The President's Day event is in full swing at Gossett Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat on the Pike. And we're celebrating with 2020 Dodge Journey SE $19,990 or $249 a month. Or pump up your attitude with the 2021 Jeep Cherokee Latitude $21,740 or $277 a month. Or take your pick, 2020 Ram 1500 Quad Cab Tradesman or 2021 Dodge Challenger XST $339 a month. It's your choice, Ram 1500 or Challenger. We Gossett at $339 a month. So drive past the rest and come to the best. Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat 1901 Covington Pike, or shop online GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
months financed through Chrysler. All 3,500 cash down. 75 months at 4.19 APR. Journey LT 296,053. MSRP 26,860. Latitude MD 168,760. MSRP 27,805. 1,500 LS 156,730. MSRP 35,185. Challenger MH 581,58. MSRP 31,160. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695. Excludes tax on a license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 3/1/21. Dealer stock only.
There's now a faster and easier way to pick up your Corky's Barbecue. Order and pay online, pull into the designated spot, text Corky's to 474747, and we'll bring your order right to your car. No waiting.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary in range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Waldo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Final hour on this Thursday afternoon. Again, everybody be safe. Go slow. I know the roads are starting to clear, and you might think it's better, but the referees, you know that aspect of it. Use good common sense and keep an eye on out there for all the boil orders, and be really careful because we're going to get through this, and we want you back with us tomorrow and into the future. But be safe tonight because it's going to be another extremely bitterly cold night. This hour of our show brought to you every day by DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road. Down on Goodman Road in DeSoto County, they're very proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area. Right now, visit them online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. Look at all those beautiful cars and see those testimonials. All the cars test driven, checked out bumper to bumper, head to toe, unlimited inventory, every make, every model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll go out and find it for you. No shortcuts taken. You're treated like family by kind, courteous employees. They know we live in a world today that time matters, and that's why they want to make it the ultimate car experience for you. You find the car you want, test drive that car, credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're out of there in 45 minutes or less. It's that simple at DeSoto Auto Sales. Go online to DeSotoAutoSales.com, or better yet, when the roads get clear, get to 5704 Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales. We talk Tigers every week at this time, and it was so much fun to visit with the head coach of the Memphis Tigers, Ryan Silverfield. Again, that audio is up at featured audio at sports56whbq.com. Greg Gaston from the Tigers sidelines. He's with us every Thursday. It's brought to you by Rule Smith, your RE/MAX Realtor. Visit yourgermantownagent.com for Rule, yourgermantownagent.com. Presto Shutters, law offices of Stephen Leffler, Christ Community Church, Mount Moriah Auto Sales, and our good friends at Papa-Lock, Dave.
Oh, yeah, our good friends. And we should point out that the folks at Papa-Lock, well, you've probably seen them and you've heard about them. You passed them while he was working, but you never thought you'd need them until you do. And when you do, you really need Papa-Lock of Memphis. Papa-Lock of Memphis is all about locks and keys and a whole lot more. Lose your car key. Papa-Lock can make new ones. Moving, don't take the key you're handed. Lots of other folks have been handed that same key. Papa-Lock will re-key your home so you are completely safe. More than a new key maybe is what you need. Papa-Lock is the expert at installing access control so you know who and when there's entry of your home, your office, maybe your warehouse, and a whole lot more. Multiple properties. Let Papa-Lock of Memphis set up a master key system for you. Call 901-527 901-527-6737. That's actually 901-527-OPEN. Papa Lock of Memphis, your trusted locksmith, just like Greg Gaston is our trusted Tiger insider. Good afternoon, my man. How are you? Are you excited about this new football schedule?
Yeah, good afternoon, guys. Yeah, I liked it. I think it's a challenge, certainly when you open up conference play and you got to go to Philly. It's never easy. And then there's the possibility of having to play that Thursday game as opposed to Saturday against Navy. It's a short week after coming from Tulsa, which we know has been a challenge for the Tigers the last couple of years. So that's pretty formidable. Even though they do not get Cincinnati, hopefully they'll get them in the conference championship game, but they're not going to get them during the regular season in the conference play. So they avoid Cincinnati, but I still think it's very formidable. And then you obviously get Mississippi State and the air raid offense of Mike Leach, which should be clicking a lot better in year two. And then Butch Jones, we'll see what he is in store for Arkansas State. They're always a nice little opponent for the Tigers when they get to meet on the football field, either in Memphis or Jonesboro. So, yeah, I think it's certainly a challenging schedule for 2021.
Yeah, Greg, we just talked to Coach Silverfield about it. I don't know many teams in the offseason that will have to prepare for a Mike Leach air raid, pirate 5 wide, throw it every down, maybe run the ball with traditional running backs 8 times, and then also get ready for Navy, and they won't throw it 5 times.
Exactly. You're talking about contrasting styles.
Man.
It doesn't get more contrasting than those two. And then you throw in the Gus Bus, which is pulling into Orlando. It already
Exactly.
has. So you have the UCF offense, you have the air raid, you have the triple option offense that Kenny Amatololo will run, and you got to figure Navy's going to be a lot better than they were this past year. It was an off year for them. So it's a challenging schedule. There's no doubt about it.
Well, and don't forget Tulane, because that's actually a mix of a lot of the principles of Niumatalolo and of Leach. It's really interesting, and I think that's part of the fun of college football now, is that we do have a lot of different approaches, and in the American you see a lot of different styles, and then things may change because Temple has certainly changed a lot from Rule to where they are right now.
It definitely keeps your defenses on your toes, because you're looking at different elements of an offense from week to week. Sometimes you'll get a carryover, and you're lucky when that happens, because it's while you're getting ready for different personnel, you're still getting ready for the same basic system. But you guys are right. There's so many different systems that are being run. You really have to put a lot of this and implement a lot of this in the summer, in August camp. We know that in years past we've talked to, whether it be Ryan Silverfield or Mike Norvell or Justin Fuente, that they've always prepared for Navy ahead of time, not just the week leading into the game, knowing what they will face with the triple option offense. But again, I go back to that possibility of a Thursday night game against Navy as opposed to Saturday, which will make it a real short week coming off the away game, the road game. Remember, the first two, as you guys know, are on the road in conference play. Then you got to turn around, possibly have a Thursday night game. So that's a quick turnaround. That's why you start to implement these things in August.
And Greg, once again, will enter a Tiger football season. I just said baseline 8.5, 9 wins in North, and all three of us have seen it much different climate than that with Tiger football through the years. I can't wait to get some on the field reports of the quarterback transfer from Arizona, Grant Gunnell. When I hear from people like you or Dave that have been out to practice and he can make those throws, I'll have no reservation about that baseline being around 8.5, 9 and up.
Yeah, first of all, knock on wood that we can get out to practice. I hope it'll be different this time around and get back to the old coverage of football at not only Memphis but around the country at all programs, because it's been quite different the way we've had to cover it. But yeah, absolutely. I am really looking forward to that. One of the big storylines going into spring, and then I think it will certainly move into August. I don't think Ryan will be settled on his starting quarterback by the time camp starts. I think it'll be sometime in camp that he settles on it. But yeah, I think it's going to be a very exciting year, a challenge for these guys. But yes, 8.5, 9 wins. Brett, we've talked about it before. I mean, you've got to the point now with Memphis football that anything less will be considered a drop-off, when back in the day, as you guys know, if you got to 6, you were having a parade down Field Street. So now the expectations are much higher because you've been there and done that. the expectations don't drop. That's why there's pressure every year on whoever the coach is, because now you have a fan base that is accustomed to seeing 8-9 wins minimum.
Well, certainly going to a bowl game. That we know is certainly the bar that has been set. And you're probably right. 8 wins is probably more what people are expecting. And if you get to 8 wins with this schedule, I think you're doing a pretty good job. As far as the quarterback goes, I agree with you. We'll not find out until the middle of fall camp who that starting quarterback is going to be. But don't you think Ryan Silverfield, deep in his head, already has a pretty good idea of who that's going to be?
Yeah, see, here's the difference between years past when we would ask the coach and they would kind of give us the old company line, there's a battle going on and, who knows will come out of it, but you already knew it was going to be Riley Ferguson or you knew it was going to be Paxton Lynch or Brady White. This one, yeah, I think he kind of knows, Wolo, what he wants to happen in a perfect world. But unfortunately, right now, we are definitely not living in a perfect world. So who knows what happens in camp? Who knows if one of these other guys step up, like Peter Parrish or Brown, or one of the guys that maybe you're looking at as a backup or even a third-team guy, and all of a sudden they just take the baton and run with it. So, yeah, in a perfect world, he probably has an idea of what Gunnell brings to the table, but he's got to come and he's got to bring it, like Brady White had to bring it, and then Brady White had to prove it on the field, and even when he did, he had to prove it again to the fans because they still didn't believe what they were saying.
Hey, sometimes that's almost impossible, and I'll give you a great example since you already brought him up, was Paxton Lynch. You sound like we knew all along it was going to be Paxton Lynch, not that first year, because remember there was that popular quarterback whose name escapes me at the moment, but he was a great guy, and he used to play piano for the kids at
Jacob Karam.
Jacob Karam, and how mad people were that Justin Fuente sat Jacob Karam for Paxton Lynch.
You can't find those people anymore, though.
No, and that doesn't mean Fuente didn't know that it was going to be Paxton Lynch. We had no idea because Paxton Lynch was this find. You've probably told that story a million times. I think it was Bill. Yeah. Wasn't it Bill Lofton who discovered the guy?
Mr. I for Tally, Coach Lofton.
Bill Lofton was actually taking his friend Jim Campbell, the old referee. They would go down to Destin, and he would get kidney treatment. He would be doing treatments, and Bill was just sitting around, and there was a week-old weekly newspaper. So
a shopper.
Weeks old.
Yeah.
And there's a story about Lynch. Nobody's seen him. He's going to be in this All-Star game, but nobody's seen him because he was hurt his whole senior year. He takes it back to Fuente. Fuente makes a couple of phone calls, and the next thing you know, sight unseen, he signed Paxton Lynch because he knew Jacob Karam was not going to be good enough.
That story is so good on so many levels, Greg, because, first of all, I love Bill. I'm not at all diminishing, but it's legendary how he found him. But it also speaks to Justin Fuente because there's a lot of people, and coaches get it all the time. Hey, you need to be recruiting so-and-so. He could have handed that shopper newspaper over to Justin Fuente and said, oh, yeah, Coach Lofton, thanks a lot, and before the door shuts, thrown it in the garbage can.
Yes. And it's been like, Bill, you're a nice guy, but really, you're telling me maybe who our next quarterback?
Let me do the recruiting.
Get out of town here. But yeah, you got to keep all your options open, especially when you're a new guy coming in. But I was just thinking about it though when you were saying this story, Wallo, that Bill Lofton, I think, doesn't get enough credit for resurrecting the Memphis Tigers football program.
I mean,
you're right.
Because this was a newspaper in a lot of small towns. I mean, it's basically advertisements. I mean, it's like pork shanks, 49 cents a pound. Long grain rice.
Exactly, and Paxton happened to be in that paper with that story, and the rest is history. But Justin also was a quarterbacks guy, right? He played it. He came in, so he has that knack for. And I'm sure
Lofton was the quarterback.
Well, it was Bill. Let's be honest here. Yeah. I don't know why Bill's not the head coach. Still not there. But anyway, you look at the guy, and you're not going to take him sight unseen, and then you look at some tape, and then you investigate a little bit more. And then again, having that background as a quarterback and knowing quarterbacks, that really helped Justin Fuente to look at this guy, his size, his arm strength, and go, yes, let's bring him in. If that was an offensive line coach, maybe he doesn't see it the same way. So sometimes you've got to get lucky as well, as you guys know, on the recruiting trails to turn things around.
All right, let me switch gears for just a minute here, and let me talk about basketball. And the announcement today that there will be an NIT. Now, let me put out right up front and center here, I want Memphis to get into the NCAA. That was the goal before the season began. That goal, even though it's hard, is still you have the ability to accomplish that if you can knock off Houston at least once and maybe Wichita State if you play all these games. But let me ask you, Greg Gaston, what do you think the fan base would feel about going to the NIT, how they would feel about going to the NIT if that is what happens?
Interesting, because in a perfect world where fans were going to games and things of that nature, while they would be disappointed that the Tigers wouldn't be in the NCAA tournament, there are still those people that love to go to the Big Apple, and this is going to be a bubble-type thing with the NIT, going old-school NIT and having all the games there in New York. I think they would kind of like that, but we are not. We are in a different world right now with COVID. So for the team itself, I think they would like to be able to play postseason basketball. Would they be disappointed? Probably, but they would also be excited about being able to go to New York and play postseason basketball. I think the fan base wouldn't be that excited, but still, I think they would look at it and go, okay, let's go in there and maybe win the NIT. Remember how it started for John Calipari with the NIT and an NIT.
I mentioned that earlier. That's exactly what I said. For programs trying to reestablish themselves, there is a place for the NIT. It's not going to make the national headlines, but it can excite a fan base. And even though Memphis did make it a couple of years ago when they got beaten in the second round by Creighton, it's still, this group is still coming along. I think they, especially with this crazy year, they would be the beneficiary of getting more playing time if indeed they didn't make the big tournament.
Yeah, I think this would just have a different feel to it, too. Again, being in a New York bubble, I would assume that the games, I don't know if they'd all be at the Garden and maybe a couple other venues in New York. Are they all at the Garden?
Yeah.
Okay,
well, I don't know that, but they're all in New York City. That I do know.
Yeah, they're all in New York City. So, but it has a little bit different vibe to it. I know what you're talking about for the NIT appearance a couple of years ago. So, yeah, I think it would be fine. In fact, I think it would really be advantageous for the players and for the program and the coaches who have been through hell and back. Not like they're the only ones, but many, many around the country have. So it would be some kind of reward, but this would not be satisfaction with the fan base. It certainly wouldn't be looked at by the media as, wow, they really got it done this year, because they put themselves in the hole by losing those games early. If they didn't lose those games early, they would probably be in great position, even having missed the last 4 games and having 5 games overall postponed because of COVID. They'd still be in a great position. Now they need nothing short of a miracle, because I don't know how they're making up games. They might be able to make up a couple, but that's squeezing in 3 games per week in the final 2 weeks. And you need those games, especially the Houston games and maybe that Wichita State game, to try to win, to be firmly in the conversation. You guys know it. The numbers game is running out on that.
Yeah, Greg, you're right. You're right about the early season tournament in South Dakota. That almost put the team in both on the floor and public perception wise in full scramble mode. But you didn't do it. But I don't want people to diminish the 2 losses up there. Virginia Common and Western Kentucky are in every bracket out there.
Right.
Yeah.
The Western Kentucky game, that kills me. Because the Western Kentucky game, if DeAndre Williams plays in that game, it's a different game. If Penny has the zone defenses that he now employs, if he has it in that game to protect Musa Cisse and to keep the ball away from Massey, that massive kid inside, you know what? The Tigers win that game. I really believe that, and that's a critical game.
Well, look, I think you're probably right, but we can't sit here and go, well, if this happened, that happened, they would probably win. We don't know for sure if they would. The bottom line is they lost the game. And then later in the year, they had a chance. Later in the year, they had a chance against a mediocre Auburn team, and they lost to Auburn. So they've put themselves into the hole. But the bad thing about all of this is right now, or a week and a half ago, before they got hit with the COVID, they were playing their best basketball. It was going to be really, really fun to see what they could do the final couple of weeks. I'm not saying it won't be, especially if Mike Oresco and the powers that be in the conference can move around the schedule and get the games that are really pivotal for Memphis on the schedule. I don't know. If that's dropping a game against USF, then drop it, for goodness sakes, if you can make up that second Houston game or get the Wichita State game in. But the bottom
who
line
cares
is,
about USF?
I mean, really, in this situation, you want to try to get multiple teams in, and the only way you're getting multiple teams in, unless you have a really big upset in the conference tournament, Houston doesn't win it, you're not getting the second team in unless it's Memphis or Wichita State here going on a run, like Wichita State plays Houston tonight. That is a huge game for Wichita State.
It is.
For Memphis, it's having those two games against Houston and Wichita State. Well, now what's on the schedule? One game against Houston, none against Wichita State. This is when Mike Oresco, I believe, has to step up and say, even the Wednesday game against Tulane, if you can somehow maneuver around things and reschedule that Houston game and the Wichita State game, it at least gives Memphis a crack at pulling not an upset with Wichita, but it would maybe be a slight upset. They'd probably be a little bit of a dog at Wichita, but it would definitely be upsets over Houston because they would be the underdog. You put yourself into a position to be in the conversation, and that's all you want to be. And when you're playing your best basketball, which you were doing so, you had the opportunity. I mean, the COVID is crushing everybody. People are losing their lives, so there are a lot more important things in this world.
COVID's one.
Right. But from a basketball standpoint, that couldn't have come at a worse time for Memphis.
Well, I think if you're going to root tonight, you root for Wichita State because that would get their ranking low enough to, or better, their net, to make that a quad one game when Memphis would play there because Memphis needs quad one wins. I would also tell you that the commissioner said on the airways yesterday that he is going to try to manipulate the schedule so that the higher net teams play the higher net teams.
Good.
But with one caveat. He did want everybody to play at least one game against each other in the league. So I don't know how all of that will eventually work out. And we got to determine how long the pause is going to continue. And I'm going to leave you with this because he also dropped this sort of bombshell with us yesterday that it's not going to happen this year, but that this league most likely will expand. And he threw out the number 14. Well, we all know about Boise. We've heard about BYU. What's the team you would like or what are the three teams you would like to see the American have?
I can't pick Alabama, right? They're off limits.
They're not leaving.
No, Boise would be one. Now, the travel's hell, and that's financially strapping for some universities. Can you imagine, you're in Greenville, you're in Tampa, you have to go all the way out to Boise. But Boise State is now, it's a known commodity in football. So Boise State would be one. BYU's not in a conference right now. They're an independent. But, yes, BYU is also a brand. I would take BYU in a heartbeat. The third one gets a little bit tougher. If football is what stirs the drink, and you say that often, don't you, Brad? Or am I putting words in your mouth? I mean, it's football.
It stirs it. It's football, all football.
Appalachian State? Is it crazy to get somebody who's on the rise that was a dominant FCS, but now it looks like they're a really good FBS?
Well, if that's the case, what about Liberty? Because they're good in both. Because whoever the third one would be a both sport or all sport, I think. The other that was mentioned would be San Diego State or Colorado State because that would be more geographically amenable to BYU and Boise.
Well, San Diego State's not even close to anything. I mean, it's not even close to Boise, but San Diego
It's
State,
close to Hawaii.
It's close to Hawaii. It's near Mexico, I think.
It's close to the airport. That's what it is.
I hear you. But that's, oh gosh, can you imagine San Diego State? Yeah, we got a game Saturday at Temple. Oh my gosh.
Greenville, North Carolina. Yeah.
Exactly. You're going cross country.
But the Lakers go and play the 76ers a couple times a year.
Oh,
it's the Lakers, Dave.
That's professional basketball. But look, San Diego State would be fantastic, but And I know basketball, you're looking at Liberty, they're playing well in basketball right now. You know, and Appalachian State moving up into the American with as good a football program as they have, and I'm telling you, they are good. I know somebody might say Coastal Carolina, but Coastal Carolina, I think this is just like a once in a while thing. Appalachian State, I think, has a chance to be a really good football program. And then who knows, if you put more money into the coffers, maybe the basketball improves. But that's one just off the top of my head, guys. I'd have to think about it. But I think for sure, Boise.
I like it, Greg. I like it, Greg. I like it a lot. I like you joining us every week. Star of sound and stage, Greg Gaston. You can hear him every day from 10 a to 1 p with Eli Savoy on Sports 56 middays. And Greg, one of these days I'm going to see you in person again. I'm the short guy.
I haven't seen Waldo in a while either. It'd be nice to
He's the shorter guy. Hey, Greg, thank you for your time today. We really appreciate you, man.
Sure. Take care, guys.
You got it. Greg Gaston with us every week. He's brought to you by Rule Smith, your RE/MAX realtor. Go to Rule's website, yourgermantownagent.com. Visit yourgermantownagent.com. Presto Shutters, the offices of Stephen Leffler, Christ Community Church, Mount Moriah Auto Sales, and Papa Lock. And I wanted to let everybody know they're not open tonight. Walker Taylor, for the safety of his employees and the safety of you, they're not open tonight, but they're going to try to get back open tomorrow and into the weekend when we start the big thaw out. When we do, we're going to be ready to get back out. And if you want to keep it safe, contactless, you can. You can go through the drive-through. You can call ahead for Germantown, whether it's at the new Collierville Commissary celebrating the 2nd anniversary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, or the original in Germantown. When we thaw out, we're going to be ready to dine out. The best place to do it to get the Memphis-style barbecue and ribs, that's at the commissary. Either location, 901-754-5540. Online at commissarybarbecue.com in Collierville and Germantown. The drive-thru at Collierville, the great party areas. When we warm up, we're going to get back outside to eat and be safe, as always, with the distancing and with the mask, but we're going to return to normal. When we do, we want to go to the commissary for that great barbecue feast, the appetizers like the cheese plate or the tamales, the barbecue nachos, the originator of barbecue nachos. That's the commissary in Germantown. The ribs, the shoulder, get it chopped or pulled on a sandwich, a big sandwich, or you can get it on the plate and save room for desserts. The banana pudding and the lemon icebox pie, all terrific at either place, 901-754-5540 or online at commissarybarbecue.com in Collierville and Germantown.
And I'll let you know this portion of the show also brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. Gotta love those folks. They're out there in this snow making sure that product on the lot is ready for you to come by and take a look when everything melts. And Genesis of Olive Branch, they just keep winning awards. They were in the top 50 of the entire country out of 355 dealers, some of these in major metropolitan areas. And part of the formula that you derive your ranking come from numbers of sales. Well, it's hard to compete with those majors, but look, they're in the top 50 in the country, top 10 in the region, second in the district. They've been number one. Back and forth they go, and they want to stay number one. That means there's opportunity for you on G70s, on G80s, on G90s. If you want to take a test ride of that GV80, that's the SUV, they've got one on the lot as a demo. And they may be getting more cars coming in once the snow leaves. There'll be more coming. I promise. I got a GV70, a smaller SUV, coming in a little bit. Every new car, Hyundai or Genesis, you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. And then when it comes to taking care of you, how about a complimentary 3-year, 36,000-mile maintenance package? They want to take care of you. They do business the right way, the best way it should be done. You'll find that at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. Back in a minute. This is Sports Time on Sports 56.
Get your fill of sports for lunch every weekday on Sports 56 middays with Greg and Eli. The latest sports talk, sought after guests, your calls and texts, prize giveaways, and more every weekday from 10 to 1 on Sports 56.
Need to sell your home? You're in luck because I buy houses. All you have to do is call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that PIN, 901-406-1101, or just save it in your phone. Bill at I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses buys houses in any area, in any condition, at any time. As simple as that. I Buy Houses is guaranteed to close in 5 days. So if you need your cash fast, just call Bill at I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. Has your house been on the market? Were you just tired of renters? Or is it just time to start over? Well, avoid repairing, cleaning, painting, and prepping your house. Just pick up the phone and call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses. If you're in Southwind, South Memphis, North Mississippi, North Memphis, Collierville, if you can hear this, just call my friend Bill at I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101.
It may be cold outside, but your deals keep getting hotter and hotter, Jeff. Hey, let's conquer the cold and gear up for winter with the Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah President's Day sales event.
We got you covered, Randy. Let's talk. 2021 Kia Forte, $133 a month lease. 2021 Kia Soul, redesigned inside and out, $149 a month lease. And a 2021 Kia K5, $182 a month lease. All just 36 months, $3149 due at signing.
That's what I'm talking about, Jeff. Plus, every Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah comes with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah, 2680 Mount Moriah, or KiaMountMoriah.com.
All 36-month leases, $3149 due at signing, 0 security deposit, 10,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage, $650 acquisition fee, Forte, ME3 19038, MSRP $20,625, sold M7755 638, MSRP $20,660, K5 MG 005560, MSRP $25,725, include all manufacturer rebates and incentives, PF 695, excludes tax filing license, with approved credit, see dealer for complete details, offer valid through 3/1/21, dealer stock only.
You ever lie awake at night, can't sleep, not wanting to see what time it is because that's just going to keep you up? Tonight, try ZzzQuil Pure Z's all night. Unlike other sleep aids, our extended release melatonin helps you fall asleep naturally and then slowly releases so you stay asleep longer through the night. It's non-habit forming with no next day grogginess. ZzzQuil Pure Z's all night so you can fall asleep and stay asleep. Available at retailers near you.
At First Bank Mortgage, their core purpose is to help you get to a better place. That better place may be a lower monthly payment, that vacation you thought was impossible, or getting into a home with a fenced backyard where your kids can play. To get into your better place, First Bank Mortgage makes decisions right here at home. Dedicated to helping you get to your better place, First Bank Mortgage. Call Daniel Mooney at 901-462-0145 today. NMLS 741022. Equal housing lender.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Waldo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Home stretch on this Thursday afternoon, 360-8255 or 67129. If you would like to reach us, Tiger schedule out, Redbird schedule out. It's fun talking to Ryan Silverfield about the Tigers' 2021 football schedule. That interview is up at sports56whbq.com at featured audio if you would like to listen to that. Dave, interesting comment you made to Greg Gasson about that really good matchup that I'm looking forward to watching tonight when the Cougars, Kelvin Sampson and his club, with circuitous travel to Wichita to play the Shockers tonight. Make that case again for me. Who do you think Tiger fans should be pulling for?
Well, I would be pulling for Wichita State, even though they're in second place. You beat them twice, you would give them their third loss. And if they win tonight, their net would improve to where you're playing them in Wichita. It would easily become a quad one win. The Tigers at this point are 0-2 in quad one games. The only two for sure quad one games they have are Houston. And if they were to beat Wichita and Wichita beats Houston, then they have a chance at 3 quad one wins. Not saying they get them all, but maybe they'd win 2 of them.
Okay,
and
you
those
made
are
a
the
good
kinds
case.
of things that would get you into the NCAA tournament.
You nailed it. I wanted to hear it again because I've been torn all day on kind of which direction. You know, the Tigers already have that good win over Wichita State. probably the win of the year?
Yeah, I think it is. I do, because it was also the beginning of them starting to
Of a
look
good stretch.
like the team that we wanted them to be. It was the beginning of that stretch where they've won 6 or 7, where they started to look more comfortable on offense, where they shared the ball. You know, the real Achilles heel to this team, and you know, I go back to those losses. Like even the Auburn loss was without DeAndre Williams. When DeAndre Williams came on board, this team changed. The Wichita State game was the key game. But the Achilles heel is twofold on this team. It is turnovers and it is free throw shooting.
That's right. That's right. You can talk all the other shoulda, couldas, but that's it.
Yeah, I mean, if they turn the ball over 5 or 6 times less per game and shoot 10% better at free throws, they wouldn't have 6 losses.
Yeah, and you're right. If you've made the point of when you have that many turnovers, you're limiting yourself so many opportunities even to get up a bad shot.
Well, you don't get up a shot. It's the wasted possession. You don't get a shot.
But, you know, even with a bad shot, Musa Cisse may go get the rebound and the stick back.
Right, exactly. It kills everything, you know, and that is the problem with the Memphis team. And it's been an issue the last couple of years. When I have to go back and look, but the very first year when they had Martin, and he was just so good that last year for Penny. He had 40 points in 1.5 against USF. But when Jeremy Martin, I think that last year, I think they were a pretty positive a team in terms of turnovers and possession ratio. They had a positive ratio, a pretty healthy one. Last year, they may have been about even or a little bit over, just like they are this year. But that's because some games, you know, you don't turn the ball over at all. But for the most part, yeah, the Tigers are averaging almost 17 turnovers per game in conference play. That's 17 wasted possessions. You can't win on a regular basis with that. If it was 12 possessions, 12 turnovers a game, you know, I don't think they would have 6 losses. I think they might have 3.
Dave, I didn't get this in yesterday, but when we were having the discussion with Mike DeCourcy, and that's still up at Featured Audio if you'd like to hear that again, or if you hadn't heard it for the first time at our website, and we were discussing whether it's the College Football Playoff Committee or the NCAA men's basketball, in any committee, when they use the word eye test, to me, that connotes to me taking a powder, lazy, and just going with the brand. And while, again, I think the Big Ten, clearly the number 1 league, but you dig in on some of these games, like Minnesota, Indiana last night, I think it's such a self-fulfilling prophecy for them and a lot of the other big leagues. In football, the SEC gets the benefit of this. SEC may be getting the benefit of it in basketball right now as well. But at this point in the year, well, they lost to another good team in the Big Ten. Well, how do we really know that?
The bottom line for me is you're right. It all comes down to the brand, and the Power Fives are going to get the benefit of the doubt. I look at Indiana. I can tell you right now, I would probably buy you the commissary if they are a Sweet 16 team. There's no way they can make the second.
I agree with you.
At Indiana.
I'll co-sign the note.
Okay.
Walker, if you're listening, Dave and I'll go on the note for you.
I just think because they're in the Big Ten and they have a chance to play home games against some teams that may have an off night, it's
those candy stripe warm ups, and it's IU, and it's big TV audience.
Their net. Yeah. It's all a built-in huge advantage to have because you're starting, like John Calipari used to say, you're starting on second or third base. A team like Memphis before when they were in CUSA, or Gonzaga until the last couple of years, where Mark Hughes established that program and their recruits are so good. You're going to start off 15th or 20th in the country when you would be if you were in a Power 5. You're going to be in the top 10 to 12. It's just the way
Maryland,
it is.
35. And, I hate to disparage Maryland after we just had proud Terrapin alum on with us. Yeah. But Maryland, a 35. And then here's a real oddity. Penn State, 7-10. zero basketball history. I mean, for as much as they have in football, they have that little in men's basketball. They're 38th at 7-10. There's Indiana in everyone's bracket, 12-9 at 42. I don't know about this net stuff. I don't.
I don't either. I don't. Well, Colgate is a great example, and I got to give, our guest Shelby Mass. He does not have them in the tournament at all. Even though
good for Shelby.
Yeah,
and good for Shelby because I went over that. I mean, beating Army 3 times.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you go over that. They don't have a quality win. They're 9-1. First of all, they've only played
a quality opponent.
And isn't there? We need to check this out by tomorrow. I'm not asking Drew to do it now because I know Drew's been working his tail off on some other stuff. But
Drew, one more thing to do tonight. You got it?
Anything for the team, right?
Yeah. In order to be eligible for the NCAA tournament, don't you have to play 17 games?
I think so, Dave. But that's probably going to get waived. Games. But I feel waiver coming, and I feel a lot of consideration being given. I was going over some college basketball stuff, and I thought, Tigers just 18 games compared to a lot of people. That's pretty good. There's FSU at 15 games, right. Baylor at 17 games. You mentioned Colgate. Villanova's only played 16 games.
Right. All these teams have paused. Here's the better question. How many teams this year have not been paused at all? And I don't know if there's any.
I don't either. But, Dave, I think the teams that haven't paused, that have veteran presence, that's the teams you need to have advancing in your brackets.
I'm with you 100%. First of all, I always look to see how many four-year or 5-year guys are on a team. Because if they are, they've played together a whole bunch. And that experience sometimes overtakes talent because they know how to play together. And so I agree with that. And if you played a bunch of games instead of started and stopped and weren't able to practice and lost fitness, I mean, those teams, I don't care how many stars they may have, those teams are going to struggle. They're not fit enough to play. That's what really worries me about Memphis. I mean, you're talking, you're actually hoping that Memphis can come back and play on Wednesday, February 24th, right? Because we already know Sunday's game against Temple has been canceled. I don't want them to play Tulane, except for one reason. They will not have played. They're not in good shape. Are you going to want them to play a Wichita State that just beat Houston and has helped their net ranking, and then you haven't played at all and you're not fit and you're going to go play them? I mean, that's what amazes me about Michigan. And Michigan, by the way, did not look good in that first half against Wisconsin. Then they caught their breath. They got their second win, and it looked great and won that. But when they hadn't played in 3 weeks and did that, that's pretty amazing.
Here are 2 teams that I think kind of fit our diagram, our narrative, kind of our composite for veteran teams that hadn't had a lot of pause, and also 2 warhorse coaches. West Virginia with Bob Huggins, Texas Tech with Chris Beard.
Yeah, the Chris Beard thing, how much do you think he slipped in people's opinion by the answers that he had in that game against Bob Huggins?
We just talked about it longer than he's worried about it.
No, I'm not saying he's worried about it at all, because he's a great coach. But don't you think at the moment, and he'll get past this, don't you think it diminished what was just an impeccable image that he had?
Yeah, Dave, but sadly, and I'm not trying to sound like a Weisenheimer here, if you knew him and you'd watched him, you always felt like pulling the pin of the hand grenade moment was coming.
I don't know. I never felt that, but once I saw that, I'm thinking to myself, man, I hope he rights this ship.
his first year at Little Rock, maybe his only year. Was he just there a year? But anyway, had early in the year, kind of before they really got going good, really early opening night for the Grizzlies. Good friend of mine, active in the ULR program, wanted to bring Beard over. Grizzlies playing LeBron early in the year with Cleveland. Wanted to bring Beard over and his son. Met him at the Rendezvous. We had a big time. Very super nice guy. But I texted my friend the next day. I said, man, he is wound tight. He said, that was the loose Chris Beard last night. You ought to see him. He said, you ought to see him at practice.
Well, he got past this one. I agree with you. I don't think we're going to tolerate coaches like we used to. For instance, Bobby Knight. If Bobby Knight had thrown that chair in today's media world, he would not have been able to survive like he did at Indiana in that time.
And Dave, we had two very popular, very good coaches in this area. I was friends with both of them. What Coach Kirk did at Tully Gym one night and what Nolan Richardson did Sunday afternoon walking out at Austin against Texas, I don't think an AD would go along with that today.
No, and social media would kill him. And there is some strength to that, whether it's responsible or not. That is the reality, I think, of it all. I got to let you know this portion of the show is brought to you by Sheldon Rosengarten, Mark Spensdorf, and there's something missing in the real estate market right now, and it's homes. That's right. Homes for sale are missing. There are so few on the market. Anybody thinking of selling their home or their condo, they ought to take advantage of this crazy hot market, according to my guy Sheldon at Mark Spensdorf, to avoid hazards, pitfalls, problems. Now, make sure you choose the right agent that represents you and all of your interests. Sheldon always recommends talking to 2 or 3 real estate brokers, but make sure he's one of them because there is a difference in experience and levels of knowledge, and he can make a difference of whether you sit or you sell. I mean, he's got something nobody else has. He's got Shellbucks and a successful strategic marketing program that I don't think anybody else can compare with. So if you're thinking of selling or buying, call or email my guy, Sheldon Rosengarten, at MemphisRelocate.com or 483-0546. No need to tell you, it is 901. That's Sheldon, 483-0546, or MemphisRelocate.com. Back in a minute, it'll officially be Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Sports 56 Mornings with Peter Edmiston and Anthony Zane. Weekday mornings from 7 till 10 on Sports 56, 98.5, and 96.1.
For over 8 decades, America's farmers have counted on the Little Red Tractor from Case IH, the Farmall, to help them make short work of their demanding chores. Well, Mid-South Ag can show you they aren't just for farms anymore. With horsepower ranging from 30 to 105, plus an army of attachments, they can tackle every chore on your to-do list, from hauling and mowing to loading and towing and then some. Stop by Mid-South Ag Equipment or call 662-890-3141 to find a Case IH Farmall that's right for you.
I'm a big fan of Town Village, and there is always something to do year-round. Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. Looking for a great place to retire, but you still have a very active lifestyle? Then visit Town Village. Only requirements that you're 55 plus. Prices per month starting at $24.50. The Gourmet Chef welcomes you to visit our restaurant and bistro. Package includes 3 complimentary meals per day, maid service, free local transportation, monthly coffee club, themed dinner parties, lots of fun. Visit us and call Daniel or Bo at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home. Town Village Audubon Park.
Hey, we understand. With everything that's happening, with all the new regulations, maybe you're not ready to come and hang out at Sweetgrass to catch a ball game. We want you to, we really do, and we're open for you to do just that. But we're also offering the next best thing, the new Sweetgrass Tailgate Party Packs. Whether it's wings, house-made dips, sliders, or other Sweetgrass tasty treats, all you have to do is call us or go to sweetgrassmemphis.com to order just what you're dreaming of when you're dreaming of watching sports and enjoying some sweet, sweet Sweetgrass.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Waldo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Wolosian and Brad Norsworthy.
Come on, Muhammad, we hit fame. We beat you with the deal, we get insane.
Welcome back in. Final segment on this snowy, frigid Thursday. A reminder, we mentioned a little earlier there, MLGW is about to issue a boil water alert. It is not immediately clear, according to the first commercial appeal, if that advisory will impact all MLGW customers. So look at social media and everything else to figure out if that will, in fact, affect you. This last portion of the show is brought to you by Grind City Brewing and Tiger Tail Malt Liquor. This is some kind of creation. You know, Grind City is a dream of a father and son, and they've really done that thing perfectly. They've got this wonderful brewery. It sits up in Uptown, and they created, for the University of Memphis, a craft malt liquor that has become the official craft beer of the University of Memphis. They took it to the Tigers loved it, and they call it Tiger Tail. And it is so good that it is now in Kroger stores. You can still get it in your favorite spirit shop. You can still find it at the brewery. But now it's in Kroger, and you'll love it. It's not like any other malt liquor you've ever had. It's crafted with a bold and smooth flavor. It's got a 7.5% alcohol content, so it'll give you that buzz. And it's got a clean finish that makes it the best easy-drinking beer I have ever had. It comes in 16-ounce six-packs, and you will love it. Tiger Tail and Grind City Brewing, taking care of beerness in Memphis. It is officially Taco Bell Crunch time.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! This is Geraldo. It is crunch time. You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello,
Choo-choo!
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
On one, on two, on three. Hey!
Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day. Dave, I learned today that the baseball career is for Tim Tebow, it's over. He put in 5 years. He chased a dream. It's over on the football field. It's over on the baseball field. Now, I think he could go on and dedicate himself to become a really great analyst. But we all know, for those guys, it's hard for them to walk away and say it's over. But it's over. What'd you learn?
I admire. Actually, I looked at his 5-year numbers. Obviously, not great in any league, but not as bad as I thought that they might be. Good luck to him for sure. I learned, and I should know this, the NFL always figures it out. Their numbers this year would have meant that their salary cap could have slipped to $160 million. They decided to slightly increase it to $180 million.
Boy, that's a lot of money.
Because they'll tie in future earnings to offset the losses they'll make on this. Last year, the cap was $198.2, so you know there were losses.
But they really did try to figure this out. I give credit for that.
You know, for a long time, a lot of football players didn't make that much. That's no longer the case. Could have done without this. Speaking of money, the San Diego Padres have over $640 million in Fernando Tatis and Manny Machado. Bill DeWitt bought the St. Louis Cardinals from Anheuser-Busch for $150 million, then turned around and built new Busch Stadium for $400 million. So he has a team and a stadium for $90 million less dollars than the Padres have in their left side of their defense.
But don't you think the Tatis deal by today's superstars is actually a pretty good deal? It's only $22.25 million per year for those 14 years, and the dude is really good.
I think he's so good they'll tear that up shortly into it, and he'll get more.
Maybe. He's really good. I guess I could have done without Serena Williams losing, but she lost to a player who is much like her, but a lot younger. And I'm afraid Serena will not get 24 majors. That saddens me a little bit because she has a claim to be the greatest female athlete of all time. This Naomi Osaka is very, very graceful, thoughtful. She loved Serena, and I know she hates beating her, but she's made a name for herself. But just to show you how this may be the end of the road, since Serena won the Australian Open pregnant in 2017, she took the year off, then she's come back. She's been in 4 finals that she lost and 2 semis. 6. She gets to the top, but age, like everything else, has robbed her of that ability to just get over the hump. She's going to end up tied with Margaret Court for the most majors by anybody, but she's not going to break.
It remains undefeated. Father time and mother time and time remains undefeated. Dave, we'll visit with you again tomorrow. Be safe tonight.
You got it. Thank you.
You got it. And we want everyone to be safe out there tonight. It's going to be a lot of black ice out there. Look, we know people have good common sense, but we are in, the safety and information business, and we want everybody back and hale and hearty tomorrow and into the weekend and next week. Just watch it. I know everybody's itching to get out, but be careful out there tonight. Keep a close eye. We've talked a lot about it. On Houston at Wichita State tonight, I think it's must-win for the Shockers. Iowa at Wisconsin. That's number 11 versus number 21 in this week's AP poll. Rutgers at Michigan. Big Ten, how many bids? Rutgers, Minnesota, Maryland, I don't think are very good, but they play in the very sainted, exalted Big Ten, so that might be enough to get them bids. All those bids, and they still, I don't think, will have a team that wins it all this year. Maybe not even go to the Final Four. Thursday, always a big night in the NBA. I think the best night. It's a limited schedule, but a lot of really good games tonight. 3 good games, and very good game with the Nets and the Lakers playing late. Pretty good schedule tonight for the NBA with the Nets and Lakers featured late tonight, and that should be fun to watch. I don't know what the over and under is in that, but if the Nets are involved, take the over because they don't play any defense and they play a whole lot of offense. I want to thank Shelby Mass from BracketWag.com and the USA Today visiting with us about bracketology. Keith Smith from Yahoo Sports on the NBA. Coach Ryan Silverfield, thank you and best of luck to you with that schedule next year. Greg Gaston on the Tigers every week. Appreciate that so much. For Dave, for Drew, I'm Brett. Be safe tonight. We talk to you again tomorrow at 3.